Need expert support for your sim racing setup? SimRig Support has you covered. With over 2,000 hours of experience, our team excels in diagnosing and resolving issues swiftly. Submit a ticket for remote help, send us your hardware with a prepaid label, or book an on-site visit. We handle all major brands, from wheel to PC problems. Trust SimRig Support to keep you racing.
Hello everyone, once again, and welcome along to another thrilling evening of racing. Of course, it's the UK Formula 4 1600s and the British Formula 4 Esports Championship as we head to the home of British motorsport. It is, of course, the Silverstone circuit, and we are running the Grand Prix layout all the way around. This is going to be a lot of fun. As always, it's myself, Elizabeth Blade, it's Cameron Roger in the commentary booth, Hugo Luis bringing you the cameras, and what is going to be a thrilling night of entertainment. Cam, we've had a great run in the first half of the season, but now it's time for the second half to begin.
It certainly is, and the title contenders are coming out and they are shaping their way to the title. But this track is going to be certainly very tricky. A lot of straights around here in these lower Formula cars. The slipstream is going to be incredible, and I can't wait to see how the racing goes tonight. I
mean, it was a lot of fun last year, wasn't it? We saw a lot of great and memorable racing last year, including that victory for Gordy Much, where he was kind of knocked down in the order and still rose his way back up to take victory in race 2 of the British Formula 4s. The Formula Ford racing was absolutely crazy. You know, Henry Moore giving it some with Dana Moore and such. It was a great evening of racing. I'm expecting very much the same thing. We've got a lot to deal with in the championship, of course, starting here in the Formula Fords. British Formula 4 will come up in about an hour's time. Let's talk you through the format of the evening, of course. Qualifying about to get underway. Again, it'll be a 10-minute session. I believe they'll get 3 laps courtesy of the length of the circuit here, and then we'll go into the first race of the evening based on that qualifying order. The race 2 starting grid will be based off of the race 1 finishing order, but with that reverse grid between positions 5 and 10 always causes its fair share of drama. The season schedule, of course, where we've started the season back at Brands Hatch at Brands Indy. That's where the Formula Ford will be racing this weekend, by the way, for the Formula Ford Festival, so keep your eye out for that one if you want to get yourselves behind the wheel of these cars. We had our first international trip with Zandvoort, Snetterton 300 and Alton Park International in the tricky conditions, must be said. Rounded out the first half of the season. We're here at Silverstone Grand Prix. We then go to Knockhill, to Donington Park, and then back to West Kingsdown in Brands Hatch to round out the championship. The order in the championship is Mark Fletcher on top on 245 points. Lewis Werrell in second position on 211, and Harvey Jones and Han Jacob Siversen Moller, they're 188 and 183 apiece. Shomi Shintani also up on 174, just a position clear of Jonathan Smith, who's just a point rather clear of Ollie Stone himself. Sam Sanders, Brandon Loudon and Crofton Woodhatch, the top 10. Do remember that they do have 2 rounds of drop scores to play with throughout the season. Those will come into play a little bit later on in the championship, but it's always good to know that if someone's not in a great position right now, they can drop that bad round. Your effectively your worst results get dropped from your point score, and then you keep your eyes focused on the road ahead and the good scores that could possibly come. Counter to the conditions that we have had a week ago, Cam, it's lovely, bright blue sunshine here out on the circuit in Silverstone.
Absolutely, just some rain and sprinkles coming down at Alton Park, causing a bit of chaos, as ever, in such an unpredictable championship. Is certainly not something that you'd always want. But yes, we are back to the sunny weather. There are a few clouds in the sky, but the conditions out there on the track are very nice indeed. Should be setting some very fast lap times. At 8:30 in the morning, we are in sim time, and we're already looking at Shomi Shintani up towards the front, towards the end of this practice session. And as we have been saying, he maybe isn't, you know, obviously leading the championship. He's had a couple of bad results, but he probably is the fastest on average. If he can get some results, maybe here today, next time out in Knockhill, he could really bring himself back into this title fight.
arguably one of the most exciting drivers, at least on the circuit. Definitely puts on a show every single time we go racing. Although I'll say this, Cam, before we go into qualifying, and this is not to maybe put a down on it for everyone watching at home, I would say of the season, this is arguably the least important qualifying of the season. Courtesy of the length of the circuit, the wideness of the track, I guarantee you can win from any position on the grid.
Oh, I agree. Having said that, the lap times in the practice session are looking unbelievably close. In the standings, how, half a second for the top 12 or so. I think it is going to be a good one. So the lap times are close. As you say, it's probably one of the easier overtaking opportunities with the slipstream that we're going to get in the race. You say about Gordy Much dropping down last time, coming back to still win. So anything is possible today. Having said that, Lewis, you want to be on the front couple of rows in the first sector. You don't want to be in that mid-pack.
Yeah, exactly. With how things are, I'd want to be out of the danger zone. There is a look at the Silverstone wing made back in 2010, 2011, that kind of area, and of course, it's a staple now of British motorsport. And honestly, it looks fantastic. It's quite a cool venue as well. I don't know if you've ever been in the wing.
I haven't been inside it, no.
It's pretty sick. It is pretty sick. It's basically, there's big halls and stuff inside. It's very cool. Obviously, now we've got the Silverstone Hotel on the left-hand side, which we don't have here in the sim, courtesy of when the scan was made. But still, that wing does look fantastic. Qualifying session has begun then, courtesy of the length of time it takes to get around the circuit. Regardless of how many laps you get, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, you can only really do 2 timed laps around here. There isn't enough time, because once the session ends, the session's over. It's you versus the track. Once session comes to a close, that's it. So you only really get 2.
Absolutely, especially when you look at Brands Indy, where it's literally less than half of the time. It's under a minute there, and we're over 2 minutes here. So it's quite a big difference. Just showing you the the changes that we have in the British tracks around here in this championship. But certainly, Lewis, that makes it even more difficult because you have to be perfect, really, on your first and at best your second lap. Really, you don't have many more opportunities, and that just makes it even more difficult for these drivers. We've seen how difficult this car is over the course of the season. The back end does like to wiggle around, and with the lap times being so close, just half a second for the top 12 or so in the practice session, you have a small wiggle, you lose a couple of tenths, you're dropping back about 5 or 6 places. Yeah,
indeed. Oh crap! But I think if you go quick enough on the outlap, you might just about get 3 laps in. But you've really got there can't be any spins or any slouching around. You might just get yourself 3 laps onto the board. Obviously through Magus Beckers Chapel, one of the most historic parts of any racetrack in the world, actually. It's very well recognised, and onto Hangar Straight. This is where we're going to see an awful lot of overtakes, a lot of slipstreaming, and this is where I'm genuinely serious. We're going to see 3 wide. We're going to see 4 wide. We may even just about see 5 wide coming down here. Of course, into the final complex corners. As much as there is a chicane in this, I don't think you're going to see too many overtakes courtesy of it. But alas, I think I might hand over to Cam. At least you can talk through a lap. You can talk through maybe half a lap. Whatever you've got breath for, Cam. Talk us through it. How do you get around this circuit?
Absolutely, it's an awesome track here. The Silverstone GP circuit, we are using the full 5.9 kilometers of it. Of course, it's been around for the best part of 15 years now, but it still feels like the new track. Let's take you for a lap on Border Gods. Mark Fletcher, your championship leader, in towards Abby, the first corner. Very fast right-hander, then you're flat out through Farm. Such a long run up towards the first braking zone of the track in turn 3. Look for some big dives down the inside here on turn 1, especially. Hits that apex nicely, but get it back to the right-hand side of the track because you need to open up the loop. This hairpin corner going out onto the back straight, but not before another kink through Aintree, and this will be a great place to get some slipstream and try and make your overtake. It's a bit of a tricky braking zone, though, that you're coming up to. It's a left-hander up at Brooklands, but it's very, very late apex. It's ever tightening, and you really need to trail brake in. It's so difficult to balance the rear of the car. Then finally you kiss that apex, but again, you got to get it back over to the left-hand side of the track to try and open up Luffield as as best you can. A little bit of a slide on the rear end of the car, but you got kind of V-shape the corner, get it straight, and now work your way up onto the old front straight here through Woodcote, which is not really much of a corner. You just keep it flat out, keep it pinned, and up towards the old turn 1 of Copse. Unbelievably fast, really dangerous to make an overtake. Counter steering on the way in does Fletcher, taking the risk there, but able to keep it balanced. And then up towards one of the best sequence of corners in the world. Maggotts, Beckett and Chappell keep it flat through the first little kink. And then here it's all about balancing the car, trying to find the racing line. If you mess up the first one, you're going to be completely offline before you come through Beckett's here and out through Chappell. The kink onto this back straight, where I'm sure you're going to see a lot of overtakes up towards Stowe. If you get a bad run through there, especially in these cars, your momentum is going to be completely lost, and you'll be, a massive dive down the inside here in towards Stowe. We're going to see, as Lewis said, 3-4 wide into here. Once again, a really fast late apex corner. Kiss that, and then open up the final chicane. This is potentially where you're going to see some dives down the inside, but you've got to be careful because it narrows up quite a lot, and there's some big sort of sausage curves on the inside, anti-cuts on the inside of each of these corners, and then you work your way through Club and the final corner to hopefully come across the checkered flag in first place.
Yeah, indeed. It is a cracking lap, as we'll see Fletcher across the line. T15.7. He's the first driver to put a time onto the board. That's about a second slower than they were running in practice, but we know that it takes them a little while to get these tyres up to temperature. Fletcher is at the top, ahead of Ollie Stone. Into the final complex corners comes Brandon Loudon as Shoma Shintani goes up to the top of the time. He's the driver who topped practice with a 2:14.647. Ian Joyner goes up onto the front row of the grid. Brandon Loudon moves his way inside the top 10 with 9th place. I say some decent times in the opening part of that there. Mark Fletcher, importantly though, in 3rd. Championship rival, main one, Lewis Werrell, 11th place.
Oh yes, the times do not lie, but let's see how much faster they get when they come through their second laps. This is a driver who needs a good round as well. Crofton Woodhatch in the number 2 machine. He's been up there in many races so far, but he's down in 10th place in the standings. Let's see how he can work his way through after unfortunately having a bit of a disaster round at Alton Park. And of course, working his way through Woodcote is a bit of a difficult one here, Lewis. With so many straights, you kind of have to focus on the exits of the corners so much, because when you get onto it, you're just kind of flat out and praying that your delta is going to go down.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is definitely one of those circuits where I would actually rather the delta be turned off, because you've got so much time around here. You've got so much time to think about the delta. Whereas someone like Alton Park, you don't actually have that much time to think about it. So like delta on, delta off doesn't really make that much of a difference. Whereas around here, I think you've got too much time to think about it. And let's say, for example, you go out of this corner, you lose a little bit of time on the exit. You know, say by the end of the hanger straight, you've lost maybe like half a tenth of a second. All that's telling you is that I can gain this back in the braking zone. That's where you push it a little bit too far. That's where you lose even more time by going too deep. There is that fine line, and especially around a circuit like this, of not having a delta on and just driving the lap. Because yeah, sure, like everyone across this lap, you're gonna lose a couple of tenths just because of how wide and how long this circuit is. Like, take the Nordschleife, no one's really doing perfect laps every single time around the Nordschleife.
Oh, I do agree, although he does make a bit of a wiggle there through the first part of the club chicane and out of the final corner. Can he put his number 2 machine up towards the front? Mark Fletcher on the second lap goes up towards the front. Sanders joining him on that front row. What can Woodhatch do? Yes, he goes up to the top by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, not bad indeed. There goes Shoma Shintani though. He's back to 15.1, could break into the 14s at the end of the next lap, as they'll have one more lap in the session. Ian Joyner back up onto the second row of the grid with 3rd place at the moment in the number 8. Harvey Jones, Corey Aline and Martin Vilk not setting times in this session at the moment. Brandon Loudon then goes up in the 6th position in the 961, so moving a position clear of Lewis Werrell, back up to the 111, the championship leader.
And he's only a tenth and a little bit faster than Lewis Werrell. But so importantly, there's 2 people inside that. So Lewis needs to find a bit of a better run here coming through this 3rd and final lap of the day. They won't have enough time for one more after this. But Fletcher, this is a lot stronger after struggling in qualifying back at Alton Park. It did help him actually to get the, on the front row of the reverse grid race. But it just makes it so much more sketchy and more risk. And when you're going for a championship, you want to have a nice clean race where possible.
Yeah, indeed. It's, like I say, it can be a little bit awkward for you if you're not getting qualifying right. Though I will say, Lewis Werrell, we've kind of spoken this about a few times before. He's not had the best qualifying in this championship, it must be said. Yeah, the qualifying's never been like an ideal strong suit for Werrell, and yet still comes through in the race. So it's kind of one of those ones of like, if I'm Lewis Werrell, especially around here, I'm not that bothered. I will say this is definitely a circuit where you want that reverse grid number to be quite large, because you want to tick one off, like a large reverse grid around a circuit where you can actually overtake. Not that that really matters because it all resets with time, but you know what I mean? Just for the mental focus.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean, yeah, the chances of each of the numbers coming up over the season is obviously quite high. So if you want to have a higher number race, it's definitely this one. But Mark Fletcher will not be wanting to rely on that and the chances to get his championship after looking so strong, especially in those first 3 races of the season, getting podiums in all of them. And now let's see what he can do out of the final corner. The last lap's on the board coming in. Can Fletcher get himself back on the front row? That'll be so important for him. Is he going to improve up towards the front? Yes, he is. It'll be second place.
Yeah, indeed. That's, again, solid work for him as, once again, they head their way through the final complex of corners. Crofton Woodhatch up into second position, so excellent stuff there. They say Fletcher dropped down into third, Mike Pollard up to 13th position, as we'll see Brandon Loudon into the final sector, the final few times across the line. Hans-Jakob Siversen-Mollett not going to be happy with that qualifying session, just 9th place on the road for him. Is there going to be any improvement from Brandon Loudon just ahead of Lewis Werrell at the moment? Does Werrell have another lap to come in? No, he does not. So his session is over. Just 8th position for him.
Yeah, he improved on that final lap by a couple of tenths, but so many other people improved. He actually lost positions, and that is going to be a bit of a tricky point right in the midfield in that 8th place. He's got some work to do, but look at Shintani over 2 tenths. He's looking fast once again.
Yeah, indeed. I was just having a little bit of a look back at some of the stats and stuff. Yeah, Lewis Werrell's qualifier has not been great. He's 7th, 10th, I think it was 3rd a little bit earlier. Which, you know, the 3rd's obviously good, but it's not ideal when you're in championship contention. So to lose ground there, not ideal. Thankfully, Mark Fletcher is not qualified. Great, but still 3rd place for him. Shomi Shintani then and Crofton Woodhatch will start on the front row of the grid. A couple of tenths separating the pair of those, with Mark Fletcher in 3rd position. The champion leader rolls off 3rd spot. Sam Sanders, who's in 4th, has had a couple of bad rounds, but still has got some incredible speed. Expect to be seeing him go full guns blazing for the victory. Ollie Stone and Ian Joyner then on row number 3. Back to row number 4. Brandon Loudon will start alongside Lewis Werrell, who's just out qualified and all that. Hans-Jakob Siversen-Mollett in 9th position, with Franek Sikorsky rolling off of 10th. Jonathan Smith from 11th position and Mark Warner starting this one from 12th position, just outside of the 1 second bubble. Mike Pollard in 13th position, with Ben Smith and Joshua Bagembe, the final drivers, to score a lap time in the session. Martin Vilk, Harvey Jones, Corey Aline all not qualifying in that session, courtesy of penalties or even just not getting a lap in, and they'll all be starting from the rear of the field. Having seen all of that, Cameron, Roger, you know what time it is. Who's winning? Who of the 18 is winning?
I'm going to go Sam Sanders on that second row next to Mark Fletcher. He's been racing very good, got a couple of podiums a couple of rounds ago as well. So back at Snetson, so I think he's looking good. I'm going to say the 34 comes out on top.
Have you cursed him?
Probably.
No, because it doesn't exist. Be better, man. Be better. And because I don't believe in the commentator's curse, I'm going to go Lewis Werrell. I think Werrell's going to get his elbows out. I think he's going to come through to take the victory. Either way, we're about to find out. 15 minutes is put onto the clock, and the first race of the evening is about to get underway. The Formula Ford's racing here at the Silverstone circuit, the home of British Motorsport, as we are underway with that race down in the first corner. Good start from basically everyone. Pretty equal on it as they get themselves moving down towards the first corner. Crofton Woodhatch already going on the attack for the race lead on Shomo Shintani. He might get a look in the village loop section if he's brave enough to do so. The lights behind all remaining fairly single file, as Mark Fletcher takes a defensive line from Sam Sanders, who's trying to beat Ollie Stone there to the apex at the 3rd corner of the racetrack. And it'll be Ian Joyner in that bright yellow car trying to get around the outside and throw himself into the mix. Slow exits though as they leave the loop. Now they're entering out onto the Wellington straight.
And here comes Lewis Werrell on the outside of Brandon Loudon for 7th and 8th positions. Side by side, they are in the mid-pack. Single file for everyone up ahead. Any big dives? Yes, it is to Lewis Werrell up the inside of Brooklands. Can he make it stick? He's following Mark Joyner through. Loudon's got wide, actually, and he's going to go for a spin. Unfortunately, he was in a good position, but just went out too wide and lost the rear end.
Yeah, and the problem with that is Brandon Loudon, there's more crashes involved in all of this. Martin Vilk, Harvey Jones I saw spinning around. Wow, there's been absolute chaos. Corey Aline was the one in the foreground of shot. Mark Warner involved in all of this. I mean, the problem is that there's no slipstream there to be taken, unfortunately for Brandon Loudon. Crofton Woodhatch then takes the race lead going down into Cops for the first time. There's a couple of drivers running very, very wide there going through. Cops, I think that might have been Hans Jakob Siversen Mollart, as Mike Pollard is already out of the race. Through Magnus Beckers and Chapel, then Crofton Woodhatch leads from Shomi Shintani, Mark Fletcher, Sam Sanders, Ollie Stone, Ian Joyner and Lewis Werrell, who's up now into 7th position. 6 cars within 1 second.
And of course, Harvey Jones down in 14th place. He was involved in that crash at Luffield. He's 3rd place in the championship, so that could be quite important. Having said that, we'll come back to the race lead. It might swap around once more. Shintani going to the inside. Even Mark Fletcher's having to think about it. And Lucas Sanders, if he stayed flat out there, he would have had a run. So the slipstream today is going to be pretty crazy. In the background, Werrell has got Joyner, so that's 2 places on this lap, up into 6th.
Yeah, Sam was thinking about it. Was thinking about throwing it down the inside of Mark Fletcher. Now maybe into the back of Mark Fletcher. That was very close in the brakes as they head their way through Club, through Vale. As they're side by side behind all this. Ollie Stone, Lewis Werrell going side by side. Lewis Werrell moves his way up into 5th position. He's got past Ian Joyner and Ollie Stone on that lap. They back out onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, but it is, I'm not bad, just the name of the corner, or the name of the straight rather, as they head back down into turn 1. Shomi Shintani leads from Crofton Woodhatch, 1 lap complete. Yeah, we got, what's this, 8 drivers in this top pack, and they've dropped everyone in behind. Unfortunately, Smith, Mollart, they haven't been able to keep up after maybe said incidents. Let's see this. So this is the 961 of Loudon. Just goes wide. Does it cause any further issues? Oh, 3 wide we go in the entry of Brookens there, or Luffield, I should say. Oh, further contact in the background. So there's a lean. It was Harvey Jones. He was the car on the inside of that 3 wide situation with, I'm trying to work out who that was next to him, maybe Warner, and unfortunately not enough space. Pollard getting involved too. Yeah, it was indeed Mark Warner. He's in this green-orange car. You can say he's tried to squeeze them out wide, and then Harvey Jones is there. It is a tricky one, although again it's for race control to kind of pick apart. That is not an easy one to go through and all that, just so much happening. Here's Pollard, a wheel just basically falls off. The wheels had enough in all of that. As in your bottom right of your screen you're seeing all the live racing. Crofton Woodhatch has just gone for the race lead. That's Pollard's wheel literally just falling off. Not quite the same as that Toro Rosso at Shanghai a few years back, as we've got Mark Fletcher coming straight through for the racing. He's had a much better run coming across turn 1. They're side by side all the way through, as Sam Sanders is out wide with Lewis Werrell going involved in all of that. Shomi Shintani's dropping back. There's Sanders coming through, and you've got the white and green car there of Lewis Werrell trying to find his way past. Now we're going to get the 3 wide. We certainly are, maybe even 4 wides. Joyner's trying to get up ahead, and for the race lead, Crofton Woodhatch is going side by side as well. He's had the race lead twice on this lap. He got it, lost it, and he's got it back again. Lewis Werrell maybe up into 3rd place, not quite, as Shintani blocks that one up. 4 places for that green machine already as we come to end the first couple laps of the race. And must have been a slowdown penalty for Woodhatch. He's dropped back way outside to the back of the pack. Yeah, and the big thing he'll be hoping for is just to pick the slipstream off once again. He has dropped to the rear end of the train and is already trying to make a move on Franek Sikorsky, who's running in 7th spot. So it's not an ideal one there, but to be fair, if you're going to get a slowdown, get it early in the race. Get it done early in the race, and then you can fight your way back up to the front. We've got 2 groups of 4 now appearing with about 7/10 of a gap between Ollie Stone and Sam Sanders. But don't worry too much about that. No, I'm pretty sure that gap will come back down again. As there is plenty of battling up ahead. Mark Fletcher, Shomi Shintani, Lewis Werrell and Ollie Stone, the top 4. Then we've got that little break between Sam Sanders and then Ian Joyner, Franek Sikorsky and Crofton Woodhatch, who is definitely still involved in the straight. The order has completely changed if you go to a snapshot 1 lap ago. So anything can change even up to the final lap. So predicting this is going to be so difficult. In the background, Woodhatch has made a move on Sikorsky. Can he get it stopped for Brooklands? Yes, he can. So that's 1 position back. And despite the battling, they haven't really lost the train ahead. But Joyner would like to be another car length or so up ahead. And just a shame for Woodhatch once more. He was looking fast up to the front, but you've got to keep it in the track limits. And that could be so crucial if that happens, say, on the final lap. Like I say, most important bit is to remain calm. This is an 8-car train for the race victory. Normally we talk about, well, I say normally we talk about the race. Normally I talk about the rule of 6, which is, more than 6 cars, and generally it all kind of falls apart. This circuit is a bit of an exception and anomaly to that, because it's so wide and open. You can get away with more than 6. You can definitely get away with 8. We could see this battle of 8 go basically all the way down to the final lap. Although that said, I don't know about you, Cam, I don't see them going for the next 8 minutes and 50 seconds without incident.
Surely not with what we've seen so far this season, but let's have a look once more. We come down the Hangar Straight. It's going to be Shintani on the outside to the left-hand side of the track. Werrell is obviously in the slipstream in behind as well. We're also seeing Woodhatch trying to make a move on join. Around the outside is going to be, though, for Shintani. Can he keep it on the track, unlike what Woodhatch did a lap ago? Just about, but of course, here comes Lewis Werrell trying to go up to second place.
Well, I say Werrell could definitely win this race. He's been a great racer all the way through the 2024 campaign here in the Formula Fords. And of course, has to settle there for 3rd position. Shomi Shintani up into 2nd spot. We know he's done a fair amount of leading already. We're about halfway through the race, so still plenty of time left to go in this one. As we complete the 3rd lap of racing here at Silverstone. It's Fletcher leading from Shintani, from Werrell, from Ollie Stone, from Sanders, from Woodhatch, from Joyner, from Frank Sikorsky. Jonathan Smith and Han Jakob Stevenson Mollett round out the top 10. But those two at the back end of the top 10 are way too far off of the train really to be in contention for victory. It is one of these 8 drivers. This order is going to change it very quickly. Take a screenshot of it now and then come back to it in 2 minutes' time. It'll be different.
I certainly will. Although I think we're actually in the same order as we were 1 lap ago, so no moves, but maybe this time around, as the number 27 of Shintani goes to the inside of Brooklands. We know Mark Fletcher is maybe not so aggressive, so I assume he will let him through, and he does. In the background, we see Woodhatch making some moves. He's got past Sanders. He's back up into 5th place, already 3 places gained, and Joyner goes to the back of this pack.
Yeah, exactly. I say, if I'm anywhere in this pack, I'm not panicking right now. I'm sat here relatively content on where I am. I'm involved in the battle for the race lead, and when you're involved in a fight, so we've both been in this position, Cam, where you're involved in a fight between a group of drivers, and you're sat in the middle of it, and they're all racing like this, and you're like, there's no way on earth we're all getting to the checkered flag. So now all I'm thinking is like, I'm going to sit back a little bit and I'm going to wait for you lot to crash. When you crash, then I'll take advantage. Thank you very much.
It's so difficult, though, because in this style of racing, you've also got to be aggressive. If you sit back, then you'll just be overtaken from behind. So it's really difficult. And we saw this from Graham Carroll, actually, in the Formula 4s over the last couple of rounds. He has sort of, in some cases, not been aggressive enough, and he's actually dropped back from that. So you have to time your move to perfection. We go potentially 3 wide up towards the front. Lewis Werrell up the inside for the race lead. He gets both of them. Fletcher will potentially come back through in 2nd place, but Shintani has dropped down into 3rd.
Yeah, good stuff from Lewis Werrell. Contact between the championship leaders, 1st and 2nd in the title race, going wheel to wheel here as we head down to the final chicane. Shomi Shintani feels the mirrors trying to look to the inside, and that means that Mark Werrell rolls out wide. Shintani could come through here. He's gone down the inside of Lewis Werrell, who backed out a little bit early going into the final chicane. As Shomi Shintani leaves it on the outside, you've got Ollie Stone running out wide behind all of this, as they're still side by side on the way towards Abbey. Lewis Werrell thought about making it 3 wide, thinks actually better, let's stay in the race, thank you very much. Mark Fletcher on the inside line of Shomi Shintani. They head their way through Abbey, they head their way through Farm up towards Village on the Loop. Now it becomes 3 wide as Lewis Werrell sent to the inside, but can he get that car stopped? There's still 3 wide. Fantastic racing between the top 3 as Shomi Shintani takes the lead.
And I think there's a bit of contact between the championship leaders there up the inside. We're trying to get Sikorsky involved. 3 wide through Abbey. Someone's going to have to back out. It's Stone who does so as Lewis Werrell keeps the momentum and will keep that 3rd place, but Fletcher was half looking for the lead there. These guys are getting crazy. Werrell's been so aggressive up the inside of turn 3 there. As we go 3 wide once more in the background, the number 2 of Woodhatch is in the middle on his inside. He's trying to have Stone and Sanders getting involved, but I think Sanders has been pushed back.
Yeah, super move there from Crawford Woodhatch to kind of force his way through, making it 3 wide and going through the middle. So superb stuff as we've got side by side here. You're absolutely right. Sanders is out wide of Oliver Stone and Franek Sikorsky, who's got to the inside as they head their way down towards Copse. Sikorsky with the inside line as they'll dab the brakes, chuck it into the right hander at the old turn 1 at Copse. and that will be Sikorsky up. Ian Joyner might also pick up the position, but based on what happened with Croft and Woodhatch earlier on, who's back up into 4th position, if you drop back down the order, don't worry too much. The big problem, though, is that they're now only 1.5 seconds clear of Hans Jakob Siversen-Mollett and Jonathan Smith and Ben Smith. Those three may end up joining this fight just yet.
And that will just be absolute carnage coming to the final lap of the race. We'll have 2 more at the line. Here comes the 111. He's actually going to bump draft. We haven't seen that so far this race. Everyone's been going for the moves. But no, Mark Fletcher wants to try and make it a 2-way fight on the final lap. But I don't think that's really going to work out because Werrell is right there. And he's going to want to get past Fletcher for the championship. It's so important. Shintani not so much as he's a little bit further back. No big moves this time up the inside of the chicane. But in the background, actually side by side, Sikorsky round the outside and up the inside there as well. That's 5th place. Yeah, Ollie Stone is the one he's going side by side with, and Sanders is sat back and waiting, looking for his opportunity, trying to get down the outside rather of Sikorsky as we head down into turn 1. Sanders has got there, has to back out of it. Is he going to back out too much? And is Ian Joyner going to come through for the 7th position? Sanders settles for it. A little bit of a look for the race lead. Fletcher was stealing an eye down the inside of Shomi Shintani as we ride on board with Ian Joyner. No position fully switched here in the battle for 7th. And Ian Joyner will sit back at the moment. There will be 2 laps left to go in this race that Shintani is currently leading. This is getting tense between these guys, though. We've already started to see the elbows come out. And, of course, with a longer lap, the laps go by very quickly. As Woodhatch back up into 3rd place. He was down to 8th, remember, after that slowdown penalty. He's looking fast, and he's got past Lewis Werrell, who potentially looked the most racy so far in this first event of the evening. So this is very unpredictable. I'm not quite sure who's going to work out at the front, but it's very entertaining at least. I think your big question really here, Cam, needs to be who is being patient? Lewis Werrell. Is Lewis Werrell being patient? Is he playing the long game and all this? Will he go on the attack on those last couple of laps? Like you've said before, drivers like Shomi Shintani, drivers like Croft and Woodhatch have very little to lose in all of this. So they'll be getting far more aggressive than the likes of Lewis Werrell or than Mark Fletcher. So expect there to be a difference in mentality as we head on to the final lap of the race. Yeah, this is going to be quite something, because this is not only about who wants this race lead, this is who wants the championship at the end of the day. 5 cars on your screen, 2 minutes to go, and where is the slipstream coming in? Might actually be for Woodhatch in that 3rd position. He's getting closer and closer to Mark Fletcher. He's going to the outside. He's going to try and do a double move here. Fletcher's going to have to defend by attacking up the inside of Shintani himself, and Woodhatch is just watching behind. Yeah, Fletcher's got this one. As long as he gets a good drive off of here at Stowe, he might have the move complete. Shintani's had the better drive between the pair of them as they head down into the final complex of corners. That's too deep from Croft and Woodhatch. Nearly makes contact with Mark Fletcher. He's going to run Lewis Werrell out wide, but still remains on the racetrack. Look at the gap that's opened up between Werrell and Fletcher. That will come back down, don't worry, as they're side by side for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. Oliver Stowe, Frank Sikorsky, Sam Sanders and Ian Joyner as we ride back on board with Croft and Woodhatch, who's gone straight back through for 3rd. He could have been leading, and 100 metres later, he was in 4th place. That is quite something, and that's what we see in these Formula Fords this year in 2024. I wonder, though, are the top 2 getting away a bit too much? 1 minute remaining, final lap on the board. In the background, we've got Sikorsky, Stone and Sanders. Oh, contact is made, and Sikorsky's pushed to the right-hand side of the track. He will spin out and have to try and rejoin. Said someone wasn't making it. I didn't think it was going to be Frank Sikorsky, but still, one of them is not going to make it, and it's created a fairly large gap as we look back to the battle between Jonathan Smith and Hans Jakob Siversen-Mollett. You saw that in the background. As for the race lead, they're quite close. Now, this will absolutely reek of what we had back at Circuit Zandvoort, isn't it? Where Mark Fletcher is sat behind. He knows that he is going to go for a move on the exit of Magnus Beckerson Chapel. On the final part of that, he is going to try and go for a move, and that's where he's going to try and get past Shomi Shintani. Same as what he did, obviously, back at, in the Netherlands, where he waited for that right moment to get past Shintani again for the race victory, and that was basically up towards the line, separated by very, very little. Oh, where do you do it, though? Because I think you're right, Stone's the best. Actually, let's first of all do this. So that was Stone. Yeah, the black and red car of Ollie Stone. He's sort of in the middle a little bit because Sanders coming up the inside, and the front to rear contact just pushes. I guess he was actually, to be fair, he was just squeezing wide a little bit. So I don't think it was fully on Stone.
No, honestly, I think that's a racing incident. It's just awkward between the pair of them. Either way, final lap and final run then onto the hangar straight. It is Shomi Shintani leading from Fletcher and from Crofton Woodhatch. Lewis Werrell behind, who's being caught by Sam Sanders. Here goes Mark Fletcher then to the outside as he goes around the outside of Shomi Shintani, who will not back out of this one at all. Crofton Woodhatch is closing in, who's surely going to go for something going down into the Vale chicane. As he looks to the left-hand side, Shomi Shintani is going to fill that spot though, and it's going to be Crofton Woodhatch sending it to the outside. Will he go for the up and under here? Shintani sends it in too deep. Fletcher's having to settle for second as he'll try and look to get his way through. Lewis Werrell and Sanders go side by side for fourth position as they work their way through the final corner. It's Shomi Shintani on top here at Silverstone, with Mark Fletcher, the championship leader, settling for second spot, and Crofton Woodhatch with a recovery drive from 8th to 3rd.
What an insane race to start the evening here at Silverstone, and that was just completely up and down. So hard to predict where that was going to end, and somehow Shintani was able to hold on that final lap. A huge send down the inside into the final chicane. Fletcher made him work for it, but Shintani was aggressive enough, as we've seen all season, to take another race victory. Is his championship charge coming back for him?
I mean, I've got to say, that was absolutely fantastic from Shomi Shintani to take another victory. We've seen him be absolutely fantastic at points this season, and that is certainly one to chuck into the mix. I say, came into this 5th in the championship and has looked very strong. He obviously had a couple of wins before this, so it makes it a 3rd victory. It's just an absolutely fantastic race day. As we'll get the reverse grid, we'll get the spinny wheel out. Again, the positions between 5th and 10th put onto the wheel, spun round, and we'll get the number. It might be 8 here, might be 9. It's going to be 9. It's not going to roll over to 6, is it? Oh, it's going to be close. It is going to be 6. The second lowest it can possibly be. I think some few drivers might be disappointed a bit. I don't know. They want to get their elbows out, have a little bit of fun. But 6 will be the number. So the top 6 of the race will be reversed. Everyone below that will start in their finishing positions. So Ollie Stone will start the reverse grid race from pole position, which, considering how close the top 8 were in that race, I'm very excited for it, Cam. Shomi Shintani then on race victory from pole position. Mark Fletcher into 2nd spot. Crofton Woodhatch in 3rd. Lewis Werrell, Sam Sanders, they're in 5th position. Very tight across the line between the pair of them. Lewis Werrell desperately trying to hang on for the important positions in the championship. Ollie Stone in 6th spot with Ian Joyner. They're in the top 7. 1.4 seconds separating those 7 drivers. Jonathan Smith, Hans-Jakob Siversen Mollart tried closing in on the top grouping, but it was just a little bit too little too late. Frank Sikorsky dropping back to 10th position after being involved in the top 8 battle. Harvey Jones in 11th position with Martin Vilk starting from the rear of the field, obviously getting involved a bit in that incident with Harvey Jones and the likes. Joshua Bigembe there in 13th position, who was running strong throughout that race, but dropping back late on. Ben Smith as well, who was quite close to Jonathan Smith and Hans-Jakob Siversen Mollart, dropping back to 14th position with Brandon Loudon, Corey Lane, Mike Pollard and Mark Warner, the bottom 3, all there retiring from the race. Ollie Stone was the driver able to set the fastest lap of the race. Absolute thriller, very, very exciting. I think it's time we catch up with our top drivers. Let's begin things with Shomi Shintani. Race victory for the 3rd time this season. Absolutely incredible. What a race. How's your heart rate? How do you feel after taking that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a toughest race of this season. The battle was so tight field, and I have only a single screen, so it's hard challenge for me, but yeah, I'm happy with the result.
Perfect race for you though. Obviously you topped practice, you topped qualifying with pole position, and now you top the race. Have you got something secret around here at Silverstone? You look very fast around here.
Yeah, I like Silverstone. It's a most favorite track for me. I don't know why I have a pace today, but yeah, I'm so enjoyed.
Now, next race, you'll be starting from 6th position. That's the reverse grid number. Do you think you can win from there?
Yeah, there's a possibility to win. I guess Silverstone is so huge, and yeah, and I think there will be a hard racing again. So yeah, let's see.
Shoma, congratulations. Fantastic victory. We'll catch up with you, I'm sure, in the very near future. Good luck in race 2.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Shoma Shitani, race victory for the 3rd time this season. Let's bring in our championship leader. It's time for Mark Fletcher, a driver who we've caught up with quite a few times this season. We're catching up with him again, not for victory, but it is still for yet another podium. I mean, that was a pretty exciting race, at least from us here in the commentary booth. I'm pretty sure it was a bit of a scary one sometimes out there on the track.
Yeah, and I can't believe you've not congratulated me on actually qualifying this week.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, no, Shoma's quick. But yeah, it just shows, you can be a couple of tenths off here, and as soon as you get in that slipstream, you just get pulled along with the field, and yeah, passing is the way forward. Crofton showed that. To be fair, he dropped back after I think he got a slowdown, and yeah, I looked behind me and saw him again. I was like, oh no.
I think that's kind of the nature of Silverstone. We saw this in the Formula Fords last year, where it is kind of that chaotic style of racing. It is very much a pack racing style of circuit. Obviously, 8 drivers there were involved in the battle for the victory. Did you go back and watch any of last year's broadcast to kind of see what actually happens around Silverstone and how it kind of races, or did you just kind of go, oh, I'll wing it?
I did watch a couple of laps just to see where they were kind of making time up and stuff, because obviously these cars are all about carrying corner speed and stuff, and that whole Maggots-Beckett's complex is just so important, because that straight is long in one of these Formula 4s, to be fair.
Now, Lewis Werrell obviously finished a few positions behind you, so you're outscoring him, so at least that, are you kind of focused on that, or are you kind of feeling pretty comfortable and you'll deal with it once we start talking about drop scores and that kind of stuff? That's making things very complicated when it comes to the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's something that I've been thinking about for almost since round 1. I'm never the fastest, but I would try and be the most consistent. But yeah, I worked out the drop scores, and it makes for a very, very interesting championship. I think me and Lewis were actually tied on points coming into this round. I think.
Very exciting. You're making things very exciting. Well, we've got a top 6 reverse grid, so we'll be starting from 5th place. Chances of victory?
1 in 17.
Good man. Right. Well, best of luck for it, all right?
Wonderful. Cheers, Lewis.
There you go, Mark Fletcher, championship leader, and yet another podium for him. Let's grab our final interview. It's Crofton Woodhatch back into the interview booth. I mean, what a crazy race. You were battling for the lead at one point, then you dropped back to 8th position after a slowdown, still kept your nose clean, fought your way back through. That's about as exciting as it gets for you, right?
Yeah, I would have liked it to just be all at the front, to be honest. But no, a little slow down, just running a little bit wide at Stowe, I think. Yeah, didn't help things, but it's a very wide track, so you can get some overtakes done here and not really risk much contact. So yeah, was able to fight back through, and then was hoping maybe Mark and Shoma were going to trip over each other in that last chicane and have the run on the exit, but I was too busy watching them and went deep myself, so nearly all the way.
They were close to taking each other out, to be fair, so at least there's that. Obviously, going into the next race for Grid, you've now had a bit of an eye-in on overtaking, to be fair, most of the people that you're going up against in this race. Is that a bit of a confidence booster, knowing that you have been able to overtake basically all the drivers that are starting in front of you?
Yeah, I think I had pace for pole in qualifying, so I think I got the pace to win. Just hope I can keep out of trouble, really, and hopefully end up on the podium at least for the second one.
Are you confident of a victory? Is there one in there where it's been eluding you through what has been a very up and down season so far?
Yeah, I'm confident. Maybe just try and get in the lead on the first lap, and then hopefully everyone behind fights. But there's so much slipstream around here, you're having to back off halfway down the straights to not crash into the car in front if you don't really want to go for a move. So we'll see.
Well, best of luck anyway. We'll maybe catch up with you after the race.
Yeah, thanks.
There we go. And that is us all done on the interview side. Cam, what a thrilling way to start the evening. Of course, we've got a second race for the Formula Fords about to come up. It's just superb racing all the time.
Absolutely, and with I saw what you're mentioning there, the likes of Croft and Woodhatch, the battles that he had throughout that race. I think that's the sign of what we're going to see here. And those top 6 were so close. I don't think there's no slow drive involved in there. So it's just going to be a sort of a restart of what we saw. Another 15 minutes to go, and once again, it is completely unpredictable. It just depends on what moves people send, the situation that they get in. Because at one point, I was thinking Werrell was going to win the race. So at one point, I thought Woodhatch was going to win the race, but in the end, Shintani got back to the front and was able to hold on the final lap. So it's a very intriguing one with how the racing goes around here, and there's just too many variables to predict.
You said, obviously, when we were in qualifying, that Shintani's kind of been arguably the fastest driver quite a lot this season. I think we're really seeing that this round. He is actually the first driver to grab more than one pole position this season. We had different poles in all of the rounds we've had before. So that's always a positive accolade to have. But to back that up, like I said, he topped practice, he topped qualifying, he's topped the race. I think he could be looking at the clean sweep. He's genuinely got the speed. The most important thing, though, right, is keeping your nose clean throughout the 15 minutes.
So difficult. I mean, Werrell was making good moves as well. Woodhatch was making good moves, and Shintani needs to get through both of them, along with Fletcher, who he just had that battle with as well. So it's not going to be easy, but you see sometimes you go 3 wide, and it actually slows you down, and then a car behind. I mean, the classic through goes Hamilton moment. The 2 guys in front, they're batting, focusing on themselves, and then the guy behind just comes and swoops through. And we saw that a few times in race 1, so it could very easily swap around. And I like the fact, Fletcher, even though in terms of the points, he's looking quite comfortable. He's already looking into that drop score being brought in. He's thinking the long term. So I wonder, from that 5th place, does he just try and sort of hold on to those points, maybe sneak a podium at best, or is he really going to go for the race win? I don't know.
I mean, I think the most important thing, and I've always this comes even if you're trying to work with teammates or whatever, when it comes to like the first lap of the race, or even the first, particularly the first few corners, I think trying to have a strategy or a game plan is actually it's the wrong idea, because if you're so stuck with trying to do one thing or the other, like trying to let your teammate through or trying to do this or trying to do that on that first lap in those first corners, and that includes going let's go easy in those first couple of corners. Sometimes by going easy, like you've already said, you get tripped up over. Someone else is going to make a mistake because they're not expecting you to be that going easy. I think go on a relative attack, maybe a fairly conservative attack, but you're going on the attack a little bit on that opening few corners, and then starting to work out the game plan once you're in the pack and once everything's settled. Trying to do it before that point, it's never going to end well.
Yeah, lap 1 is all about instinct. You see a bit of a gap, you go for the dive, maybe see a couple of guys going side by side, so maybe just lift off just a little bit because you think they're going to do something. It's all about what's happening in front of you. If you try and predict that, you try and sort of go one step ahead of the action, you actually end up going one step behind because you're trying to force something. If you just go instinctively where there's no reaction time, that's generally how it works. And unfortunately, some people, they just go a little bit too cautious and you end up losing places. Having said that, I don't think anyone was looking too cautious in that previous race, so I think it is going to be quite exciting indeed. But one thing that we can see as we get pictures back at the track, the conditions look perfect once more, so it's going to be a straight fight out there on the track.
I don't think too cautious in Formula 4 to ever been a sentence that's been said in the 7 together. And again, do remember, by the way, if you are joining us here this evening, you're thinking these Formula 4s look absolutely fantastic and an awful lot of fun to go racing at. The Formula Ford Festival on iRacing will be on Saturday. So that'll be always a fun one. It's always quite exciting. It was exciting last year with the likes of Henry Moore going on the attack, with Gordy Much also getting involved. It's always a bit of a fun event. We like these iRacing special events. And yes, the Formula Ford Festival for its 2nd year will be back in action. So maybe get yourself involved, get your elbows out and see what you can do. The qualifying session, the practice session has come to a close. They're all going to be put onto the grid, and I'll very quickly run you through it because it is a short gridding process here for the 2nd race of the evening. After a fantastic first race, though, again, the top 6 drivers have been reversed from that race result, and everyone else will be starting from the positions that they finished in the previous race. So Ollie Stone will be starting it from the reverse grid pole with Sam Sanders alongside us in second position. Lewis Werrell, Crofton Woodhatch, Mark Fletcher and Shoma Shintani. Those are the 6 drivers all reversed around. Ian Joyner was involved in the battle for the race lead. He was starting from 7th position with Jonathan Smith, Hans Jakob Stevenson Moller and Frank Sikorsky inside the top 10. Another one of those drivers was in the top 8 for most of the race. Harvey Jones was just behind that with Martin Filk, then Joshua Bagembe, Ben Smith, Brandon Loudon, Courier Lean and Mikey Pollard. The 17 drivers to take to the grid. Cam, we don't have long. Very quickly, who's winning this race?
Lewis Werrell.
Straight away with the Lewis Werrell prediction, which means I can't. Who did you go with in the previous race? Sam Sanders. I'll go with that. I'll go Sam Sanders in this one. We'll reverse it around. Second race then for the Formula Fords, ready to go racing this evening. Oliver Stone and Sam Sanders starting on the front row of the grid. We are racing for the second time here at Silverstone, and again a clean one for our pole sitter Ollie Stone as we head down to the first corner. Already a really good start from Crofton Woodhatch, who's got alongside Lewis Werrell going into that first corner, committing to the inside and looking for the move. Unable to do so, he's going to complete the move potentially around the outside here at the farm curb, but picks up an awful lot of understeer as he leaves the door open for Lewis Werrell to sneak his way back through in the 3rd position. Side by side between Shoma Shintani and Mark Fletcher over 5th position. Fletcher just about holding on firm and Shoma Shintani not going too hard on the attack. Everyone works their way through the opening 4 corners nicely and cleanly.
Absolutely, good start. Pretty much status quo though inside that top 6 that we are focusing on so much after the reverse. We're getting cars going off in the background though. That's Ben Smith and Courier Lean. And where's one car? One of them has got way to the left-hand side as well. Ben Smith, he's potentially going to be out of this race. Down in towards Brooklands though for the first time of asking the top 8 or so, keeping very calm as there's Sikorsky making his move and keeping ahead of Jonathan Smith.
I think in all my years of commentating and driving Silverstone, genuinely, this is the circuit that I made my sim racing debut at as well. I have never seen a car where I saw Ben Smith's car. Genuinely, I've never seen one over there. So that's I'm very curious as to how that's happened, especially here in the Formula Fords. I'm assuming contacts coming out of Aintree as they head their way through. Then Cox, it's Lewis Werrell who's run out a little bit wide there in 3rd position. Still the race lead being held by Ollie Stone and Sam Sanders as there comes a little bit of a look from Crofton Woodhatch. Mark Fletcher's directly behind him.
Certainly is. They work their way through onto the hangar straight, and once again we've ended up with the top 7 or so in this big train. They've dropped Sikorsky a little bit and then Smith behind. Let's see how this one works out after 15 minutes of action. Stone leads from Sanders. How will it be down in towards Stone for the first time of asking? Doesn't look like any moves to the inside just yet as they all wait for the braking zone. It's going to be Lewis Werrell though who dives it up to 2nd place. If he can keep it, of course he's got Woodhatch trying to follow him through. There might be Sanders going down. They remain side by side.
I mean, I will say the outside line going into Stone works really, really nice. You see this a lot in the Formula 4s as well, as Crofton Woodhatch nearly makes contact with the rear end of Sam Sanders. And there is definite contact behind Joshua Bagembe, Hans Jakob Stevenson Moller, all involved in contact behind all of this. And Hans Jakob Stevenson Moller is out of the race. So another not great round for Hans Jakob Stevenson Moller as Crofton Woodhatch will make the move to the inside of Sam Sanders and they will head their way through the first turn. Ollie Stone, Lewis Werrell, then we have Sam Sanders and then Crofton Woodhatch as they remain side by side for 3rd, but not quite. The move is complete.
Yeah, there's also almost a ping pong moment there. Oh, this is the contact. So it's contact to the right hand side for Smith. It's all looking good. Oh.
I want to see that from on board. That looks a little suspect.
I really hope that's not what we think it is.
Yeah, it looked. I'll wait for an onboard to say any word about that, as there's the moment for Hans Jakob Stevenson Moller having a bit of a slide, and then everyone basically just coming through and making contact. Nothing really to be kind of gained from that. It's just awkward driving. But yeah, not an ideal one there for Ben Smith. Could have been, to be fair, we did see someone's wheel basically just fall off in the previous race, so you never know. It might be in that vein. We'll keep our fingers crossed that is the case.
Hopefully. Let's see this once more. This is 31 of Smith, a little bit of contact, and then to the right-hand side, there's going to be some. Oh, that's like on his rear. There's some further contact, and then he's looking good, and then.
Oh no! Bye.
Yeah, just loses the control of the car on the rear end there. Definitely. Definitely interesting.
Do you know what? You're going to dance around it. I'm going to commit to it. That looks suspiciously like intentional contact. But we're not race control. So that'll be a race control decision and they'll look into it. Could be anything. Did seem as though there was a little bit of rear suspension damage in that, so it could have been catching that. But by my untrained eye, I'm not sure about that one. As we'll go back to the positive stuff and the battle for the race lead. Lewis Werrell is about to make the move for it. Down the inside of Ollie Stone, Crofton Woodhatch making it 3 wide with Sam Sanders and Mark Fletcher directly behind. Fletcher sending it through to try and make it into 3rd position. He's got the inside line of Crofton Woodhatch. It's still side by side for the race lead as Lewis Werrell will go down the inside. Crofton Woodhatch on the outside of Mark Fletcher for 3rd position. Takes a lot of the anti-cut there on the right-hand side that you were pointing out earlier on the broadcast, Cam. And Crofton Woodhatch might lose out to Shoma Shintani by the time they get down into T1.
Oh, it might do. We're 2 by 2 down the front straight here. Werrell leads from Stone. Fletcher holds on into 3rd, but almost some moves coming in towards turn 1, but it remains as Woodhatch, Shintani, Sanders and Joyner. This top 7 battle continuing on for the race lead. Any big sense down the inside of turn 3? No, they keep in single file for now. Sanders is having an absolute earthquake in his room with the vibrations as he goes through the corner. Just showing you the force of his wheel, but he's not having the best day down the 6th.
Have you ever been in an earthquake, Cam?
I have not, fortunately.
It's very bizarre. Even a light one. Very bizarre. And it does look like that, so that's fine. Always a good sign. 3 wide for the race lead as Mark Fletcher's going to go through the inside and they both clear Ollie Stone. Lewis Werrell will hang on to it. Mark Fletcher was nearly going for it as he remains involved in this battle. 5 minutes and 30 seconds complete. 9 minutes 30 left to go on the clock. It's Werrell leading from Mark Fletcher, from Ollie Stone, from Crofton Woodhatch, from Shoma Shintani, your race 1 winner who's moved up to 5th position. The thing is being a little bit patient. It's 7 cars involved in the battle for the race lead. The only one missing from the first, or that was in the first race that's missing in this one, is Franek Sikorsky. As a side-by-side between the race leaders. Lewis Werrell disappearing in and out of shot, which will probably spook Mark Fletcher. And Werrell makes contact with Fletcher and is going round right in front of the pack.
Oh, that was so difficult. If that car, further in the background, further cars going around. That's Pollard in the black and yellow machine. And going back to the front, though, for Lewis Werrell, that would have been so hard for Fletcher to judge that gap on the inside with that car blinking a little bit. And unfortunately, it's ended up with Werrell, who was going for the championship with Fletcher in such a big fight. He's now down in 14th place, and this might be another round that he has to drop.
Yeah, that car blinking will have almost certainly been visible to Mark Fletcher, the blinking as well. And when that happens, it's so hard to race with someone. That's it, I will say. At least from that angle, I do feel like there's a car width given as well.
Yeah, I agree. Tough racing, though, through Cops Court. It's so fast. So fast indeed. And we'll have to see that. And, of course, Pollard, basically the same thing. Basically, the same. Sanders down pit lane.
Oh, yeah. What's happened with maybe penalty, maybe damage? I don't know. But Sam Sanders is into the pit lane and will effectively be removed from the battle for the race lead. That is a big shame. Let's see it straight through.
Look at his left wheel. I mean, it's about a foot back from the right one.
Yeah, indeed. That is not ideal, unfortunately, for Sam Sanders, and I believe will be almost certainly out of the race as he'll be into the pit lane. Either way, you're not scoring anything major, as we'll see side by side for 3rd position. Shoma Shintani and Crofton Woodhatch. Shintani's looking for the clean sweep. We saw it a couple of times last year in the hands of Henry Moore, the champion leader for British Formula 4, when he was taking part in the Formula Fords back in 2023. Could Shoma Shintani be on for the first one of 2024?
Let's see it down the inside of Brooklands. That's going to be a move on Crofton Woodhatch. Side by side they go. They leave each other space as we get towards the apex of Luffield, though, sending it around the outside and then sweeping back to the apex he goes. Here is where the contact was for Sanders. So that is Werrell in front of him. And he's just, unfortunately, going to clip the nose so close to avoiding that, but not enough. And that damage, as you say, Lewis, is going to basically keep him out of this race.
I wonder if Werrell's car's damaged and all that as well, because that was a pretty big hit. I mean, I know it's just to the cone, so thankfully Werrell's car should be fine. That is so unlucky for Sam, who's, again, showing really good speed, but...
I put the curse on him, Lewis.
No, it doesn't exist. That's just tough racing. You know what this championship is like? It can be very frustrating.
Yeah, so unpredictable, and he just didn't get ahead of the curve in either race 1 or race 2. He was a little bit on the back foot, and then therefore he got caught up in that accident because he wasn't a couple of places higher. But that's how it goes sometimes. And with 6 and a bit minutes remaining, we got a 4-way fight for the lead. We're 2 by 2 up the inside for Shintani, maybe 2 cars overtake for the race. He basically backs out that one in the end, but he is going to get 1. Stone is gone down in towards 3rd place. Can Woodhatch make that move and complete it like Shintani did? Big defense to the inside there for Shintani. That opens up the door actually for Woodhatch to go around the outside and lock up from the leader of Fletcher, but they'll get it stopped. but Stone loses 2 places.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, it's absolutely fantastic racing here as we once again expect they're side by side behind Croft and Woodhatch with Ollie Stone and Ian Joyner as Corioline comes into pit lane, probably with damage, same as what we saw with Sam Sanders earlier on. Ian Joyner remains side by side with Ollie Stone as they work their way through the opening complex of corners. Ollie Stone coming out on top of that, so remains in 4th position. But Ian Joyner is going to send one straight down the inside, and that bright yellow Formula Ford. Could he complete the move here as we head down towards turn 4, completing the Village Loop section out towards Aintree now and onto the Wellington Straight, dragging in Jonathan Smith and Martin Bill.
What a battle we're seeing here today at Silverstone. Can't wait for the Formula 4s in a short while as well to see how their race is going to go. Jordan's trying to get the slipstream, but at the same time trying to get the overlap. He's got his wheel up the inside towards Brooklands, and he brakes later, has a lot of space to go into, but they remain side by side. Stone on the outside. He will have the inside once more for Luffield as they remain to go overlap. There was a bit of contact, push each other wide. That's just going to open the door. Hello, Jonathan Smith up into 4th place.
Again, absolutely crazy stuff. Loving seeing this, and again, the very elbows out racing. Like you say, brilliant to see. And back up to the race lead where they're not fighting this hard, because I think they're seeing this gap back to this group as Martin Bilt will get past Ollie Stone. They're seeing the gap between them and thinking, look, if we don't fight, maybe it can just be us 3 battling for the race lead. I'd much rather the odds of 1st, 2nd and 3rd being my lowest positions. Whereas, you invite that battle behind and suddenly your potential lowest position is far, far, far lower.
And we might get the same podium as in the first race, despite the reverse grid. Crazy stuff that we see here in the Formula 4s. And Smith has got away from Ollie Stone as well. He's a comfortable 4th place. Shintani, though, for the race lead to the outside. The number 2 is going to go to the outside of the pair of them. No, he doesn't. He backs out of that one. Is Shintani going to complete this move? Fletcher backs out of it completely. He lets both of them go through and drops to 3rd intentionally.
Yeah, indeed. So Shoma Shintani is our race leader with just a couple of laps left to go. Do remember the double victory was done 3 times last year in the hands of Henry Moore. Donington Park, Indy, as there's a crash behind. Oh no, Ollie Stone's been sent round. I'll come back to story time in just a moment. But Ollie Stone has been sent packing from the battle for the race lead.
And Lewis Burrell gets a place. He's up into 9th, so that's a little bit better. He's down into 14th, I think it was, after the crash. So there's some crucial points for his championship. We come on to the penultimate lap of the race, and look how close it is. Smith has joined this battle. It's a 4-way fight up towards the front, and I think with Fletcher dropping down to 3rd there, he's just biding his time and waiting for the moment to get back through.
Yeah, as I was saying, by the way, it was the double victory over a single race weekend, race day rather. Henry Moore was able to do it, as we'll see the replay come in just a little bit too hard from Ollie Stone, so he spun by his own volition. Yeah, Donington Park Indy, Donington Park Grand Prix and Knock Hill as well, as Croft and Woodhatch is saying, you're not getting a double here, son. I'm going for my first victory of the season in race 10 of the championship. Croft and Woodhatch then worked his way straight back through into the race lead, as we have seen him be able to fight for on time and time again. But they are all being joined by Jonathan Smith, who could be well up for a victory here.
Yeah, I mean, we've already spoken to him before this season, getting a podium. Can he do that once more? What I mean, he's come from nowhere in this race as well. He was off the back of the pack, and just with the incidents, he's worked his way forward. But not only that, he's bridged the gap. It was about a second. He's bridged that with the fighting that we've seen up ahead. So he's got good pace there in that 56 machine. And coming onto the back straight for the penultimate time, where can he put himself? Let's see how we go. You know Shintani's going to go for a move, but maybe Smith as well.
Yeah, indeed. And Mark Fletcher will remain patient. Who's going to finish on the podium here in the second race of the Formula 4? Do remember, British Formula 4 Esports Championship will be coming up after this. Jonathan Smith going for the move for 3rd position as Shoma Shintani retakes over the race lead. Fletcher's having to deal with a car with a couple of internet issues for the 2nd time today. Could Jonathan Smith still be in this one? Yes, he still is. He's still in 4th position. A little bit scary, that one, must be said. Battle for the race lead sees Croft and Woodhatch settle for 2nd.
So he does. Shintani wants to lead, coming on to the final lap for the 2nd race in a row. Last time it was Fletcher behind him. This time it is Woodhatch who is going to lead in just 5.9 kilometers time. We know Woodhatch likes his move into turn 1. That'll be brave if he can try and make that on the final lap. He's trying to make Shintani back out of it, but the Japanese driver doesn't.
Unfortunately, Franek Sikorsky's had a bit of a moment, drops back now behind Lewis Werrell, so up to 8th position for Werrell on the recovery drive, kind of out of his hands. He's got Ollie Stone, though, a fast battler around him. Same with Joshua Bagembe and Harvey Jones towards the back end of the top 10, but we cannot take our eyes off this battle for the race lead. Shoma Shintani, Crofton Woodhatch, Mark Fletcher, Jonathan Smith, the 4 cars all battling for race victory here in the second race at Silverstone this evening.
What a fight. 4 cars, 1 lap to go. Hard to the right for Shintani, hard to the left. Does that mean Fletcher's in the middle of the pair of them? I think he was thinking about it, but they stay in the same order for now, and now it's really counting down the opportunities. The next one is up in towards Cops, but then you lead coming onto the hangar straight is a tough choice. I guess it depends what's happening behind you as well. Smith is still looking aggressive there in 4th place.
Any one of these 4 drivers can be victorious, and that will take us all the way up to the final chicane, and even really the final corner. You can make moves anywhere around Silverstone, these cars. It'll be less so in the Formula 4s a little bit later on. Crofton Woodhatch once again filling the mirrors of Shoma Shintani, and Mark Fletcher's letting him do it. If Mark Fletcher was any closer, I don't think you'd see that from Woodhatch. That was out wide from Shoma Shintani. They could be close coming down to the Magnus Beckers and Chapel now.
Oh, this is a tough choice. Is he going to go for it at hangar straight? Does he want to just hold back a little bit to get the run? I think he's slightly faster. Shintani's sliding all over the place. Can he get the exit through Beckett's and Chapel onto this back straight? I think he can, but Woodhatch, he's got to go for this, and Mark Fletcher might get a double move if something happens.
Yeah, can Shoma Shintani be victorious for the second time this evening, doing the double, being the second driver ever to do the double, as here comes Crofton Woodhatch looking for his first victory in the Formula 4s. Looks to the outside as they head their way down into Stowe for the final time. Mark Fletcher potentially settling for 3rd position. Out wide goes Jonathan Smith and removes himself from the podium battle. Crofton Woodhatch almost gone all the way around the outside here. He's just about trying to complete the move as they head their way down to the Vale chicane. Can Shoma Shintani sneak his way? There's almost contact between the pair. There is contact between the pair. Crofton Woodhatch is forced out wide, courtesy of the contact with Shoma Shintani, who will come through to take the clean sweep here at Silverstone. Mark Fletcher in the second, and Crofton Woodhatch dropped back to a questionable 3rd.
Oh my word, those guys are going at it once more. And Woodhatch thought he might have had the race lead, but he ends up in 3rd place. Smith so close. Look at all these cars in behind inside the top 10 as well. What a fight we've seen here today at Silverstone, and just 3 tenths covering the top 4 cars after an eventful second race at Silverstone.
I will say I have seen the replay immediately, and I'm looking at it, and I'm not sure I'd necessarily blame Shoma Shintani for it. So if you are a Crofton Woodhatch fan or a Shoma Shintani fan, I'm not speaking on behalf of race control there at all, but that kind of, it just looked like a really awkward bit of contact between the pair of them as Crofton Woodhatch was firing it in quite deep, right over the nose of Shoma Shintani. I mean, Cam, talk me through it.
Yeah, so we got Woodhatch on the left-hand side of the track, Shintani on the outside. They are squeezing each other, coming down in towards the braking zone. They give each other nice room at this point, and that, I mean, I don't think Woodhatch has really done too much wrong there. A little bit unlucky with the contact, actually, but it was just enough to slow him down, lose his momentum, and then the both cars get through. I mean, Shintani was almost letting him through there with how much sort of overlap he gave up. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything too much more than a racing incident.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that one. Shoma Shintani then, it'll go to race control and they'll deal with it. But for now, Shoma Shintani will be the second driver in the Formula Ford history here, of course, to take a double victory, taking both race 1 and race 2 victories. Mark Fletcher in 2nd position with Crofton Woodhatch in 3rd. The same order for the same top 3. We'll talk to those in a few moments' time. Jonathan Smith was thrown into the podium battle, but couldn't quite steal a podium position. Martin Philp, Ian Joyner, Brandon Lauder, Lewis Werrell down to 8th position. We'll talk about that in a few moments' time, with Ollie Stone and Franek Sikorsky rounding out the top 10 positions. The final positions that were finishing the race, Joshua Bagembe, then Harvey Jones and Corey Aline did finish the race. Unfortunately, the retirements from Sam Tyler's, from Mike Pollard, from Hans-Jakob Simpson-Moller, and from Ben Smith. A lot to talk about here in the Formula Fords. A lot to talk through with the drivers. They are having probably a definite chat in the interview booth, but I'm going to drag them in anyway. Let's drag in Shoma Shintani, race victory for the second time this evening. We did think you might be able to do it from the reverse grid position of 6th place, and you take the clean sweep here. Pole position, race victory for the first time this season. No one else has done that. How does it feel?
Yeah, I'm so very happy with that. It was not easy race for me, but yeah, fortunately, I have a good pace today and gaining positions without any crashing. So yeah, it's very good day for me.
What do you make of the incident at the final corner between you and Crofton Woodhatch?
I mean, it was net code, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't. Sorry.
That's fine. I mean, again, brilliant weekend, or brilliant day rather, of racing for you. Absolutely incredible driving. Do you still think you can win this championship?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to win this championship, but yeah, still, I have some hopes for that.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, Shoma. Keep this pace going on to the final 3 rounds of the season, and maybe you'll be in contention yet. Fantastic drive and an excellent double victory. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Shoma Shintani then, victory in both the races after an incident, but still great drives in both of them. Absolutely incredible. We'll jump in with Mark Fletcher, who, of course, grabbed a 2nd position there right at the last. You had to do it at the final corner after an incident between Shoma Shintani and Crofton Woodhatch. Still 2nd place and a massive outscoring on Lewis. Well, we'll talk about the incident in just a moment. Let's talk about your feelings after that one, because it looked like a great race again for you.
Yeah, again, anybody could have won that at all. And with it being such a short reverse grid, obviously, you're pretty much reversing the guys that finished, you know, close together. But yeah, it was a great race, fantastic racing. And yeah, I was just, once I saw that Lewis had gone off, I just like, right, if Crofton and Shoma want to have at it, I'm just going to sit here and I'm just got to take points now. So that was my goal.
Now, what do you make of the incident between yourself and Lewis Werrell, of course, down at Cops there a bit earlier on in the race?
Generally, he disappeared on my screen. I was talking to Jack, who's spotting for me. He was like, I don't know who hit him, either you or Crofton. One of you two did, but yeah, we didn't see him. He just appeared at the exit curb, but sideways.
We did see a fair amount of blinking from Lewis Werrell at that moment. How hard is it trying to race, guess, keep yourself calm whilst there is a car potentially disappearing around you?
It is, especially in these, because obviously open wheel and stuff, it's so easy to catch a wheel, and it depends how they've gone into the corner. If they're mid-slide, obviously they're going to push out more than if they're, you know, going normally around it, should we say. But yeah, it's super difficult, and you know, there's a massive amount of respect between everybody here in the series, which is good. So, but yeah, bit of contact, not what I want, but hey, we take it to Knockhill.
Indeed, superb drive, couple of podiums, and yeah, now we'll take that north of the border. Thank you so much, Mark, and again, great round of racing.
Cheers, Lewis. Have a good evening.
There we go, Mark Fletcher onto the podium once more. We'll drag in Crofton Woodhatch, who is on the podium 2 times this evening, so still a very, very solid point score, but I'm pretty sure it might be a bit disheartening after how that race ended. Talk us through your emotion, obviously, with the incident and you and Shoma there.
Yeah, it wasn't too much of an incident, really. I went a little bit deep. He tried to turn the corner, so like as you would, and then I just got a bit sideways, and then into the right. The car was still going sideways, and it just felt like something broke on the rear or something, and the steering just went. So I couldn't make the right, so I had to back off loads, and then obviously came 3rd. But yeah, a little bit annoyed to throw it away there, because it would have been a good move around the outside there. But no, 2 P3s, I'm happy with that.
I was going to say, it's a large improvement of what we've had throughout the season. And, you know, we're now beginning the second half of the season. So, yeah, obviously now we've got a couple of weeks off, but surely this has got to boost your mentality massively, having a double podium, heading into the final few rounds. Like, have we hit the reset button? Are we going to see this new Crofton Woodhatch?
Well, hopefully, yeah. I feel like I've had the pace all season to be up with these front guys. Obviously, by my qualifying, so I've had the pace. So it's just been a bit disheartening to just finish where I've been finishing, and then this round and the last rounds just seem to have turned around a little bit. So hopefully the second half just keeps going well.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, Crofton, because again, it's been great seeing you race well and race towards the front.
Thank you.
There we go, Crofton Woodhatch onto the podium for both of the races this evening. And what a fantastic evening it has been so far. Very quickly, Cam, wrap up the Formula Fords for me.
I mean, it's what we expected. Loads of slipstream games. You've got to put yourself in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, a few people suffering with that, the likes of Sam Sanders, maybe a bit disappointed for what we expected from him today. But the same podium in both races just shows you who was on top today.
Yeah, certainly so. And of course, we'll see who's going to be on top in the Formula 4s in just a moment. The British Formula 4 Esports Championship continues for its second half of the season. That'll be up in just a few moments' time.
Need expert support for your sim racing setup? SimRig Support has you covered. With over 2,000 hours of experience, our team excels in diagnosing and resolving issues swiftly. Submit a ticket for remote help, send us your hardware with a prepaid label, or book an on-site visit. We handle all major brands from wheel to PC problems. Trust SimRig Support to keep you racing.
Hi, I'm Joel Holt and I drive for Freedom UK in the British F4 Esports Championship. Well, the competition is going to be a lot harder than anything I've raced against before, but I'm ready to put up a fight and just enjoy myself. That's the main goal of the season. Enjoy and learn off my teammate and get some consistent point finishes for the team. All the iRacing special events I competed in, performed well in them, won some, and then just moved my way up the ladder. Joined Altitude Esports recently, and then that's when I got in contact with Freem, and here we are. Well, I say my real life racing helps me with that. Obviously my karting's quite short races, so similar to the F4 and should be all right. Yeah, I've done a few of the official races, and also it's just really fun to race around with my friends when I'm not doing anything serious, so I'd say I have a decent amount of experience. Yeah, I'd say I'd roll with him, learn off him. Obviously he's very experienced, got a lot of good results in sim racing, so if I can just learn off him and improve, then that would be good. Well, I'm just looking for consistent point finishes, maybe top half in the table. I'll be very happy with, considering it's my first season.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. We are here at the home of British Motorsport, ready to go racing for the second half of the season. It's been a thrilling opening 4 rounds of the championship, and we're looking forward to a thrilling final 4 rounds as well. The home of British Motorsport, the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger in the comedy booth, and again with Hugo Luis bringing you the camera work as well. We'll talk you quickly through the format because qualifying is about to begin. That is where they're at the moment, into a lone qualifying session before we get to a 20-minute race. Then the reverse grid race, where the finishing positions from race 1 are reversed between P5 and P15. Absolutely incredible and always chaotic those races are. It's been an incredible season thus far, though. Let's talk you through the circuits and such that we've been to, or rather the prizes that we are giving out for this season. The drivers champion will be invited to the Night of Champions, which is where they host for the British touring cars and things like that. Absolutely incredible night for them. We had that last year, of course, with Luke McEwen for the second time. And again, there's a few extra things for the drivers' channel, but the most prizes on the team side of things. The 2025 Club 100 experience with 30-minute test, the hospitality tickets, as well as the day and the base performance simulators. All of those prizes coming courtesy of our partners here for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. So incredible stuff there, and an incredible season season. Like I said, we'll talk about the calendar. Let's talk you through it. We started at Brands Indy, we did Zandvoort, we did Snetterton 300, and we did the Alton Park International Circuit just a week ago. That completed the first half of the season. We're now at Silverstone. We're obviously going to Knock Hill, to north of the border, where pretty much all of the big drama happened in the championship 12 months ago. Donington Park Grand Prix and Brands had to complete the 3-race swing to round out the 2024 campaign. Drivers' Championship then. Henry Moore, the Formula 4 champion of 2023, tops the standings, 22 points clear of Graham Carroll. Matt Caruana is back in action after taking part in the Motorsport Games. He is third in the championship, still 3 points clear of Will Chadwick, who did have the race victory removed, by the way. We'll talk about that in a moment. Remy Gilbert, Isaac Price, Leo Brown, Yoni Kattler, Gogo Baldi, and Ellis Riker, the top 10. What that means in the Teams Championship is the Scuderia Ferrari team are topping the points by nearly 70 points, by 69 points. Nice. Guild Esports in second position, and then the Guild Academy, which is just Henry Moore, third position in the championship. That sounds like he's going to get a lot of prizes just for finishing in third in the team championship, but also potentially the champion. We'll have to wait and see on that one. G2's not that far behind, and same with Mensa Racing, driven by us after just having Ronnie Smith behind the wheel last round. They might be in full action, looking for third position. 3M UK, of course, the Will Chadwick and Joel Hull, who we just heard from, then Aston Martin, BS Competition, Williams Academy, and the Aztec Racing by Grid Finder, the top 10 in the points scores. Cameron, Roger, we're in qualifying. It's a beautiful day of racing, and now we're going to see the real speed differential between the Formula Fords and the Formula 4s. They're rapid round here.
Absolutely, you add some downforce to some very fast corners like we have here, and that certainly goes hand in hand. And it's at the point now in the championship where we are kind of at a 2-horse race really at the front with Henry Moore and Graham Carroll that we see on the screen now. So how are they going to do this? Because we've seen Carroll maybe making a few ill decisions in the races. He's gone for a couple of moves that maybe have actually made him lose a position in the end. I wonder if he's going to change his mindset as he's now really just fighting one other driver.
Yeah, of the drivers, by the way, that went to the Motorsport Games, we lost 3 of them, of course, for the FIA Motorsport Games. 2 of them have returned. Kieran Prendergast is back behind the wheel, as, of course, is Matt Caruana, who is back in the round as, yes, indeed. The only driver that we're missing, then, is Jarl Time, who obviously was off representing Norway for the FIA Motorsport Games, as far as I remember. Was missing for the previous round, is not back in action. Here's second in the championship, then, and, of course, it is Graham Carroll. I mean, you said before about how some of the great results that he's had so far this season, sometimes though maybe a little bit too cautious, and it's kind of cost him a couple of spots. Cannot afford to be too cautious today.
Oh no, absolutely not. And it's also about the timing of the moves at some point as well when he did go for it, but then he didn't make it stick, and then that's what caused him to obviously lose out places. So very interesting one. Let's see where he's going to put himself up towards the front. Van Erven gets obviously with the first lap up towards provisional pole. Where is he going to be if everyone else as the laps come in? Carroll of course goes there. Matt Caruana following very closely behind.
Yeah, and the pace differential between practice and qualifying here, not too much. They set the top time in practice was a 2:07 in the hands of Joseph Loke, who's taken an F1 car around here, of course, and they're doing 2:1.4, so a little bit different on the pace, but not too much. Henry Moore, championship leader then, leading the session at the moment after moving up then onto provisional pole position. Graham Carroll, second in the championship there, in second position in the session. Matt Caruana, what position is he in the championship? Third place. What position is he in the qualifying? Third place. This is quite nice, this top actually.
Ooh, yeah, this is looking out very nicely, but look how close the times are in behind. So close. Great to see Chad is up there in P5 as well, continuing on the strong season that he is having. So it's definitely, as close as it is, it's definitely, the cream rising to the top all the time.
Yeah, indeed. Like I said about, speaking of Will Chadwick, he did have the race victory removed after that incident down to turn 1 at Old Hall, back at Alton Park, so that he did not count as the victor of that race, which means that Ronnie Smith is the victor in his debut round in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, which is always quite nice to see. Obviously, him stepping in for this driver here, Matt Caruana, get the speed difference here between these and the Formula 4 through Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. These things, again, they're rapid through here. And the fact that we've got a driver on the grid who's rather driven, not race, has driven an F1 car around this circuit. I heard it took Joseph Loke 2 laps to do Cox flat.
That's ridiculous. The bravery of that man is quite something. But he's not having the best session so far, as he hasn't set a lap time yet. So I have to see where he gets himself up towards the front. Caruana obviously trying to get on that front row. He's missing half a tenth to Graham Carroll as he comes out the final corner. Has he done enough? Can't quite tell from his facial expression if he's happy or not. Espes goes up into third place. Can Caruana rejoin a favour? Yes, he can. He goes to the front. Joseph Loke on the front row as well.
Yeah, indeed. Good stuff there from Joseph Loke to move his way up. But now we'll have Graham Carroll, we'll have Henry Moore. Henry Moore is not on a time lap at the moment, so don't expect him to throw himself back into this one. I don't believe Graham Carroll was pushing for a time one either. I think they were more getting their tyres into the operating window. Isaac Price moves his way ahead of Will Murdoch, who was very impressive at the previous round of the championship at Alton Park, as Yanni Kattler will move his way up into 12th position. So yes, Matt Caruana at the top of the session, but for the likes of Graham Carroll and for the likes of Henry Moore, they've backed off of their second lap of the session and they're going for the attack on what will be their final lap. They will not get another one after this.
Yeah, they certainly won't. Carroll's having a big deep breath there. He must be on a decent first sector, but he's got to keep it going. It's such a long lap, 2 minutes. I mean, I know it's even longer at the Formula 4s, but even for these cars, it's a long lap around here, and you have to remain calm and focused for a pretty decent amount of time, and he's looking very good so far. I mean, really, he just needs to focus on beating Henry Moore. So to be one position behind on the same row of the grid at least, that is looking okay. But if he can sneak ahead, that'll definitely help his chances.
Really, all you need to do is focus on beating the driver who you're battling with in the championship. Thank you very much for that excellent insight, Cameron Roger. I can tell that you've won a few championships against some of the best drivers in sim racing, including myself.
I did win a championship the year, but that's like when you said either they're going to go up, they're going to go down, or they're going to stay the same.
That is true.
Something like that. But what I meant was, it doesn't matter where he finishes in the race. They could be P15 and 16. As long as he beats Henry Moore, they've got such a big gap to Matt Caruana at this moment in time. So they don't need to worry about him for a couple of rounds. So it's just focusing on each other.
Absolutely. Graham Carroll's only real focus in this race will be the position him versus Henry Moore. It's not even just about winning or whatever. Like I say, it's just about beating Henry Moore. So the second laps for some of these drivers, the final laps for some of these drivers, about to come in. Joseph Loke moves up to the top then with a 201.399. I think that might be about to get beaten by this driver here, Graham Carroll, through the final corner. 201.3 to beat. It is a 201.375 as he moves up to the top of the session. There he goes. But here comes Henry Moore then into the final complex of corners. It's been a very clean lap from Alexander Spets, the first ever driver to get pole position in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, goes to 7th. Here comes Henry Moore, and it is enough for pole position. 201.264. It is Henry Moore, the championship leader, on top at the moment.
By a whole 1/10 of a second, similar to what we saw back a couple of rounds ago. I think it was at Stetson. A huge jump at the front there. He really has just an edge on the field as it stands. The Faro getting up inside your top 15. Espes is having a much stronger round. Well, Williams in general got Sarika there, got to Spets as well. This is much more like it for them, who've struggled in the opening half of the season, and they still might, as you know, they're not quite going to finish these laps in time, are they?
Yeah, I don't believe so. Do you remember, of course, Henry Moore, by the way, in the British, in the Formula Fords, took his 5th victory in the Formula Fords around this circuit. That was in race 2, and it started a 6-race victory streak for Henry Moore that took him up to the season finale. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't necessarily put it past him to do so, but Graham Carroll will be desperate for that not to happen on an evening like this. We'll see the final parts of the lap from Pablo Espes, but of course that lap's not going to count because the time has hit 0. The session is over, and Henry Moore's on the pole position. Cam, what do you make of that?
That's quite something. Carroll looked happy with his lap as well. His expression was good. And then Henry Moore goes and does him by a 1/10 of a second, which is huge in this style of racing.
Yes, indeed. So let's talk you through the order then. Henry Moore, the championship leader, starting from pole position. Graham Carroll in second spot for the Scuderia Ferrari FIA Esports team, which will be good for them in the team's championship. Joseph Loke will start from 3rd position. Matt Caruana will start from 4th. Pablo Espes and Moreno Sarika moving the Williams name up the order, 5th and 6th for them, as you were pointing out. Gergo Baldi for the Scuderia Ferrari team there in 7th spot. Elias Riker in 8th with Alexander Spets. Yanni Kattler inside the top 10 for G2 Esports. Will Chadwick in 11th position, where we've seen him a few times this season. He will work his his way forward. Isaac Price also up there as well. Leo Brown, the first of the Guild Esports drivers, not the Guild Academy, Guild Esports, down in 13th spot with Will Murdoch, Giuseppe Lafaro, Conor Muir, and then Samuel Villa, of course, with Joel Hull in 18th position. Then we've got Matthias van Erven, who's the first driver to set a time in the session. Sergio Fitzpatrick and Olivia Hayward. Remy Gilbert not taken to the qualifying session courtesy of Penoy, and then Stanchulek and Kulik rounding out the top 24. One final driver, and it's Kieran Prendergast on his return for the Mensa Racing, driven by us. They're onto the grid then. And like we've said, let's ignore the Drivers' Championship for a second. Let's talk Teams Championship. Ferrari are up there inside the top 10, and Guild Esports, the team that's second in the Championship, who are now like, 69 points behind, whatever it was in the Teams Championship, they're going to be losing out a lot of ground here, Cam.
Oh, this is a big round. This is a big round because coming up to the final 3 rounds of the season after this is going to count down very, very quickly indeed. So Guild need to do something over the course of these 2 races. Ferrari are coming out swinging, and I can't wait to see how this one is going to go. Championship rivals on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, indeed. We'll be hearing, by the way, from the Guild Esports manager, Seb Hawkins, a little bit later on in this programme. But before that, we've got the first race of the evening to get underway. The second half of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, ready to go here at the home of British Motorsport. The Silverstone Grand Prix circuit plays host to it as we are racing down to the first corner. It's Henry Moore from pole position, Graham Carroll in second, who drops straight into the slipstream as we head down to the first corner. Plenty of side-by-side behind all that, but the top 5 go single file through the first corner. It's Gergo Bowley going on the attack, and Moreno Sarika, and will work his way through into 6th position. Now we're seeing the side-by-side as Graham Carroll was trying to work his way through. There's the look to the inside from Matt Caruana. Now to the outside of Joseph Loki's going to go in the battle for 3rd position. Matt Caruana's going straight around the outside, side-by-side as they head their way through Aintree, and they remain side-by-side on the Wellington Straight. This is going to take us all the way down towards Brooklyn as Caruana's trying to get past.
And no one's going to back out of it. We are 2 by 2. We've got Caruana being pushed as well in the background by Espes, but I think it's going to be Loke holding on to that as we work our way in towards Brooklyn. So actually Espes now is going to go all the way around the outside of Luffield. No, he has to back out of that one. And also the 2 Williams cars are coming in very nicely behind, but Riker is trying to get involved with those boys, but it looks like he's dropped down as Spets gets through.
Nice and clean then on the opening lap. The side-by-side still remains further down as Gergo Bowdy's trying to work his way up the order. He looked to the inside of Pablo Espes there, but has to settle for 6th position. Leo Brown and Yoni Katala battle just outside of the top 10. The inside line being taken by Brown as he clears the G2 Esports driver and up into 11th position. Into Magus, Beckers and Chappell. Henry Moore, the championship leader, continues to lead. 2 tenths ahead of Graham Carroll, his rival. Joseph Loke also in the mix, who will not be playing any part of the championship battle. He's thinking about himself in this, and he would desperately like a victory. He did catch up with him after the first race at Alton Park, and a fantastic race from him. He's only looking for victories here.
And what a train of cars we've got. Top 3 are pulling away a little bit. Those Loke dive to the inside of Graham Carroll. This is difficult for Carroll because he's not, of course, involved in the championship. They remain side by side. And let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do. No, he sits in behind it in the end. So he went aggressive in Stowe, but he realised what's happening and backs out of that one. As his side by side in the background, there's 2 G2 cars. Not the best day. Will Murdoch gets through, and also Conor Muir.
Whoa, there's a spin. I think that's Matt Caruana who's just gone round. Caruana is round right in front of the train as there's contact, I believe, with Will Chadwick, and it's going as well down the straight. You've got plenty of other drivers involved in all that. Remy Gilbert as well. Like I say, Will Chadwick. Villa was the one who was in the middle of the road. Isaac Price was G2 Esports driver and all that. It's been so clean for the opening lap right up until the final corner.
Yeah, that was looking good, but that's the worst place on this track to have a spin. And we saw, images about 5 years ago now of a similar Formula 4 car going way up into the air after a similar crash. It's not a nice place to have an accident, and unfortunately for Caruana, that's really taken him out of the championship contention as well, because I would assume Moore and Carroll can at least get inside the top 5. Worst case, he hits the curb. He hits the anti-cut on the outside. The Williams cars go around, but unfortunately, there's that Chadwick actually hitting the back of him. And then, of course, it's just a chain reaction from there.
And Isaac Price was trying to get it back onto the road. Like I say, Will Chadwick could really go nowhere in all of that. There we go, bang, straight into the rear end. That's where you saw the 2 G2 Esports drivers go out wide. Just absolute chaos. We'll see it on board with Will Chadwick as everyone clears out of the way. There's nothing on earth Chadwick could do in that. As soon as the cars moved out of the way ahead of him, bang, there was a car on the apex.
that was impossible. It's instinctive. Did you see the instinctive reaction to the right-hand side because the car was slowing, and then there was a car in front of him? That is so unfortunate. Here it is from Caruana's point of view. He gets hit, and then you're going to see the 91 there on the outside. That was Will Murdoch. Of course, he loses his wheel in all of it as well. That is a big, tough incident, losing some crucial names and really split up the field as well. And then there was the G2 cars coming back on. Villa making contact with Price.
It's just honestly after that moment, it's just everyone scrambling for grip and it's absolute chaos. Thankfully, us in the teams championship, or drivers championship, the top 3 are safe. Obviously, this is all behind them. As we'll take a look on board. I thought that GT car was coming straight back onto the road, but I think it was out of control at that point anyway, as Villa makes contact with the inside barrier there on the start-finish straight. Absolute crazy scenes. A few drivers have worked their way through on that. A few drivers will be very disappointed with how that's gone. But again, the top 3 are now 1.6 seconds clear, or 1.2 really, back from Joseph Loke to Pablo Espes. How was Gergo Baudi's heart rate, do you reckon? Teams championship contender, obviously they're the leaders. If he goes out of the race, there's a bit more drama on the table for them.
They are still looking good compared to Guild, with Gilbert down in 14th place, Leo Brown in 8th. That is a huge chunk of points for Ferrari, but even then, Baldi needs to stay up inside these top positions. Sarika gets past him though, as Brown is also making moves. Remember, Brown had such an incredible run back at Alton Park after starting from the back after his penalty, so he knows how to overtake, and he's doing it once more.
Conor Muir will get past Matthias van Erven as there is more slide and such in the background. Very crazy indeed. There is Conor Muir to the inside in the Aston Martin. He's got Matthias van Erven on the outside. He's got Elias Riker on the outside of him as well, as they head their way back down into Kopp's corner. On the outside goes Elias Riker, because he's still got that Aston Martin on the inside. Goes out of track limits to try and keep Conor Muir at bay, and will do so. So the 89 is ahead.
Yeah, and the noises I was making on the exit of Luffield was because it was him and Muir making that contact, and I thought Muir was going to be sent up into the air as it was wheel to wheel, but they all continued on nicely as we have 14 minutes to go in this opening race of the evening for these Formula 4 cars. And Graham Carroll goes for the lead up the inside. Is Logan going to follow him through as well? Moore's going to have to back out of that one as Ferrari hit the front.
Be really helpful now for Graham Carroll if he could somehow wedge Joseph Loke between himself and his championship rival. Once again, Graham Carroll, as he did in the previous round of the championship, in the previous race of the championship, rather, of course. So, Loke goes out wide, mounts that sausage curve that Caruana hit, and now builds a huge gap between himself and first and second. As he did at the previous race of the championship, at the second race at Alton Park, Graham Carroll is now outscoring Henry Moore, which is always a positive. But I get the feeling that Moore will be patient here. And to be fair, I think he'll be very patient here because he doesn't want the rest of the drivers involved in this fight.
Yeah, and I believe it's 6 points, isn't it, the gap between first and second. So he's got a few more to go. He's got 22 behind Muir. So I guess that's about a quarter of what he needs over the course of now and the next 8 races to finish the season. There's a little bit of almost a wiggle there from Carroll, as if to say, don't fight. Let's get away from Loke. Let's keep this 1 second gap and hopefully be a 2x2 fight in the last 5 minutes.
Look, these two both have the pace to potentially pull a gap on this field. That said, I think it is unlikely because it's around that 1 second, 7/10. If it was 1.2, 1.3 seconds, I think they would pull a gap. The fact that it's that kind of like, 7/10 to 1 second margin, and that it's Joseph Loke behind them, I don't think they're pulling that gap. I think Joseph Loke's going to reel them back in and will be in contention for victory, as he did actually in the first race at Alton Park, didn't he?
Yeah, I was thinking this. I was trying to remember which race it was. Yeah, it was Alton Park. It was a similar situation, and he caught them down. So we do know that Loke is, of course, one of the fastest drivers in this field. He's technically a reserve driver, but there's only been 1 round at Zandvoort that he hasn't done so far. Of course, he's replacing Bianca Lilla this time around, but he's certainly very fast indeed. He's already caught a couple of tenths on this lap. Espes, what a result this could be for the Williams cars. He's got his sister teammate Sarika in behind. This is much more like it for the Williams teams.
Yeah, indeed. This is something that we've not seen out of them so far this season, where we've known they've been very strong, particularly in the first season. They were very, very strong. Moreno, Sarika, of course, behind the wheel of the team back then as well. Alexander Spence, obviously, behind the wheel in that very first round. Obviously, Williams still keeping a lot of their drivers close to their chest. In all that one, they were in contention for the Drivers' Championship as well. Yeah, they've been a really strong team in British Formula 4 Esports history. they have, and it feels really harsh to say, but I am going to say it, they have not been strong this season, especially with the quality of drivers that they've got. I would argue they've been very mediocre.
I don't think it's harsh if it's true, because
it's harsh and true.
Yeah, because they just haven't had the speed. They've got involved in a couple of incidents, but here they've got all 4 cars, because remember they have 2 teams here, inside the top 9. Van Erven down in 9th place, Spets in 8th, and then let's see where Espes is going to be. Is he going to stay in 4th? Yes, he is for now, with Sarika in behind. So this is looking good for the Blue Machines so far. They just need to try and get it to the end of the race now. But we do have, what's that, the top 6, the magic rule of 6 in his championship, as they've caught up to the top 2.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, look, they're almost looking Apex-esque. And it's except for the fact they're not finishing 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, which is kind of what Apex's deal was last season, or at least 1st, 2nd and 3rd. But they are looking good. And to be fair, I would not rule out a Williams victory at the home of British Motorsport. They are looking strong. Pablo Espes up there, like you say. Moreno Sarika involved in this train. And I would not count out Alexander Spets and Matthias Van Erven. I'm pretty sure Spets has the highest iRating of any other driver on this grid, which does tell you that, I've always said this, in league racing, iRating doesn't really matter that much.
Well, considering that Joseph Loke is at 5.7 and Spets is 10.4, yeah, maybe doesn't mean so much. But this is the time for Henry Moore to go to the lead, because Loke is getting close and he can't be sitting behind. But Carroll is going to fight this one around the outside of his championship rival. Eventually backs out of it. Half looks to the inside, though, as he come down in towards the chicane, and he definitely needs to, because Loke is there. They tried to pull away. They had the second gap. Unfortunately, slipstream and speed has brought the Aston Martin driver back in.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, Joseph Loke's here. He's knocking at the door and he'll be hungry for the victory. He got half the race complete then as we head our way out onto the start-finish straight for lap 6 of this race. 5 down, 5 to go. Nice and easy on the math, that one. 20-minute race, about 2 minutes a lap. 10 laps in the race then. The outside look comes in from Joseph Loke, but it's really being left open because Pablo Espes is making a move to the inside of Loke. To the outside he's going to go, though, through the loop, and that's a big move for Espes onto the podium. And in fact, Loke is going slow here, and Moreno Sarika's also come through. Gergo Baldi's going to be knocking at the door as well. He's not happy.
Yeah, it's hard to see from that angle, but I think Loke had a massive move, wiggle there coming through turn 4. And let's see how this one goes now, because he's got a couple of more drivers to overtake. And the big important fact is, especially considering the top 2, none of these drivers in behind are really involved in the championship. So if they get positions in between Moore and Carroll, that could be a big, big swing in the championship. But there's 6 cars battling their way through. And look how close it is. Let's see this. Through, was it some, yes, it was contact, and a big wiggle that let Sarika come through as well.
Probably explains why he's not been super happy about that one. I mean, you're never happy when you lose the positions, but especially if it's not of your own poor driving, it's just someone else making contact with you. Whichever way the fault goes on that one, it'll be a frustrating time for Joseph Loke. The top 6 work their way through. Like we said, it's Henry Moore, the Guild Academy driver. You got the Ferrari there of Graham Carroll. You got the Williams Academy of Pablo Espes, the Williams main team of Moreno Sarika, the Aston Martin of Joseph Loke, and the Ferrari of Gergo Baldi. He'll be picking up the slipstream of Joseph Loke, who's trying to get to the outside. The battle for the race lead sees Graham Carroll try and throw his way around the outside of Henry Moore, but can't quite do it. There goes Joseph Loke around the outside of Moreno Sarika, and still remains there on the exit of Stowe.
Oh, this is getting tense for the lead. So Loke, big send down the inside there to make sure he keeps ahead of Sarika. But we're also looking at Espes up the inside. 3 wide. Someone's got to back out of this one. They do not. They get through the final corner without crashing. That is incredible, as Espes might have the race lead here, because the championship leaders, surely risk versus reward, they've got to back out. Well, no, Henry Moore goes around the outside to retake the lead.
Joseph Loke thought about making that 4 wide. Thankfully did not do so, as he looks down the inside. He's going to complete the move on Graham Carroll potentially. Looks to the inside of Pablo Espes. Graham Carroll now a couple of positions behind his championship rival. Would not want to make that 3 positions behind his championship rival. He hangs on to 3rd position, picks up the slip through the Williams Esports Academy driver, and it will be a 4/10 lead coming in from Henry Moore after that. That was bold stuff from Pablo Espes to make it 3 wide through the 3rd corner. It nearly worked. If it was the final lap, it might have just worked for him. Alas, has to settle for 2nd for now.
This is incredible racing. The Formula Fords opened up the evening so well. Third race of the night, and the action is not stopping. But this is not a good situation for Carroll. Once more, it's a tricky, tense battle, and he comes out in second place. Well, second place compared to Henry Moore, as Espes, someone who's not involved in the championship, is getting points away from him. Joseph Loke surely is going to be pushing this one through, but that was incredible risk and bravery from these drivers to continue on. Can we just also mention, we have Williams, we have Ferrari, we've got Aston Martin here, such huge names in this championship. It's really great to see.
And then, just David Beckham's team leading the way. This is the crazy world of esports. Having big brands in the world of motorsport, like you say, like Ferrari, Aston Martin and Williams, and then chucking in an esports team, not by just your regular old Joe, but a team that has influence from David Beckham, who was at basically the headquarters of Guild Racing recently as well, which is just crazy to see. As there comes a look to the inside, Graham Carroll trying to get past Pablo Espes. Joseph Loke with a better run here, could get to the outside as they work their way into the final corner. He's going to send one in, almost squeezed a little bit by Graham Carroll, as Joseph Loke fires his way around the outside, down to the inside of the penultimate corner, as this side-by-side could drop them out of the battle for the race lead. The gap is growing ahead as Joseph Loke almost completed the move now. Could it be 3 wide down in the turn one as Moreno Sarica backs out of it on the throttle pedal. Graham Carroll desperately trying to hang on to third position right now. He goes out wide. He's not being complacent now, Cam.
Oh, I tell you what, this is going to be a tough final 3 laps of the race for the Ferrari driver. Around the outside, he remains. That was brave, and he gets it to the apex as well. Loke does have a bit of an up and under, and he should get the momentum up the inside in towards Aintree. The pair go side by side. The top 2 are getting away. Look for Bodie trying to get Sarica in the background as well. Still a strong result from the Ferrari boys, but of course, they're going to want to get at least one of their drivers on the podium. Carroll holds on to that, but in the background, Bodie goes side by side with Sarica. Can he get through? No, he has to back out of that one.
This needs to be 3 of the most perfect laps of Graham Carroll's quite long and quite high-paced sim racing career. He's basically racing everything in the world of sim racing, right up towards the top, and now he needs to dig deep to find 1 second over the final 3 laps to close up to Pablo Espes without being overtaken by Joseph Loke. This is a massive juggling act for anyone in the world of sim racing. But for Graham Carroll, when the champion's on the line, I mean, Henry Moore, a race like this, a race victory at a time like this, a 3rd one of the season, this is the kind of thing where you can really start to put your mark down, and then you put the pressure down, and then it becomes easy for the final few rounds.
But I'll tell you what, the number 11, Pablo Espes, he's looking fast. He's going to go for this lead. Carroll is wiggling like, please, let's just catch up to the top 2 and have a battle with them in the final couple of laps. It's a tough one, though, because in the background, he's got Sarica coming for him, and also Bowdy. This is so difficult for these guys to choose what is the best thing to do. And of course, the battles, we haven't spoken about them in a while, but in the background as well, Leo Brown up into 8th place. He's making some good progress in this race for Guild. So the battles up and down this field, what intense, high, paced action we have.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good battles. The other Aston Martin driver, Conor Mule, has dropped back down the order outside of the top 10 now in 12th place as Pablo Espes is embroiled in the fight for the race lead. Could he take away a victory from Henry Moore? He's already on 2 this season as he debuted in the 2024 campaign. The champion leader of Henry Moore, Pablo Espes, looking for his first victory and putting Williams back onto the map in the British F4 Esports Championship. Graham Carroll is sat now 1.1 seconds. And do you know what, Cam? Unless these 2 fight, I think he's out of it.
Absolutely. Just over the second gap as well. Espes to the left-hand side, interesting. He knows he's got the speed here. He just needs to play the games. But Henry Moore has held on from being in the lead so many times this season, and he's really getting used to having that pressure in behind him. So considering he's also not a championship rival, I think he's going to be feeling pretty confident to get this race victory. But Espes, look how fast he has been so far in this race. And it's been the first opportunity this season to win a race, so let's see what he can do.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, this is going to be quite a frantic final lap. Is Graham Carroll it's kind of at that point where, like, again, if these 2 fight, then no. But I get the feeling, as you're kind of saying, especially if I'm in Pablo Espes' seat, I am not going for anything until now on the final lap.
Yeah, I guess so, because if he goes to the lead, Moore's just going to re-overtake him. But then, do you want to then overtake to be overtaken to then be in second place again. It's a difficult one. No, he is going for the bump draft. He wants to be second place on that final lap, and he's going to have a couple of opportunities where he's going to do it. Joseph Loke, though, he gets past Graham Carroll. This is not looking good for Ferrari.
No, it's kind of all falling apart. I mean, look, for the Ferrari team on the Teams Championship, this is fine because they're scoring really, really well against Guild. But for the Drivers' Championship, I mean, these are going to be some important points for Graham Carroll for him to hang on to. Side-by-side between Ferrari, side-by-side between Aston Martin, out to the start-finish straight. Williams sat behind in Moreno Sarica. It's 3 wide between some of the biggest names in motorsport as a team and for some of the biggest names in esports as drivers. Joseph Loke to the outside will work his way through. Graham Carroll has to settle now for 5th position. It's an absolute disaster for him.
And once again, he gets put in the middle, and generally it's the middle driver who has to back out, and he loses another place. It's not turned out to be the racer he would have wanted after sitting in second place so comfortably behind Henry Moore, even leading at some points. Now he's down into 5th. No hope of maybe even getting a podium. As we're seeing the battle to the front, Espes isn't going to overtake. He's going to wait for the final part of the lap, but let's see how it goes for the podium battle as it's side-by-side once more.
Yeah, indeed. To the outside goes Graham Carroll, has to back out of it. You can see a little bit of wing damage as well from the bump drafting and such earlier on in the race. Joseph Loke into 3rd position, Moreno Sarica into 4th. Graham Carroll now down to 5th position as Leo Brown has had a moment. Leo Brown has gone round at Luffield, and that will be big drama for the Teams Championship because that is huge points being lost for Guild.
Yeah, Ferrari really on the upper hand in the teams as we get to this point in the season, but they are currently in 5th and 6th place after looking at a podium earlier on. Let's see how this one goes. Magus, Beckett's and Chappell for the final time. Where's Espes going to do it? Is it going to be Stowe? Is he going to wait to the final chicane? But surely he has to go for this one to get a win for Williams.
Yeah, indeed. Like I said, this is going to be very, very exciting. Pablo Espes, desperate for that victory. Can he do it now? Has he got enough in the tank to maybe go and find something here? We've seen plenty of up and downs for Williams over the years. Are we going to see a big, big, big up here today? He's not had a podium so far this season, has Pablo Espes, so even that would be a big one for him to tick off, and I think that's exactly what he is settling with. It's been a 3rd pole position of the season for Henry Moore. While I was saying that, Pablo Espes is going for it. Big send into the final, complex of corners. Can't quite do so. You're not going to get Henry Moore there. And the championship leader will make it a 3rd victory of 2024. Henry Moore comes across the line for maximum points once again. Graham Carroll was close to taking 3rd position, but he is unable to do so. Joseph Loke will come through in 3rd, and Pablo Espes for a first podium of 2024 will be on to the 2nd step of it.
And this is a big race for the championship. Both Graham Carroll missing out in terms of the drivers, and then, of course, Guild having a very tough race today in the team side of things, with Ferrari getting 2 cars inside the top 6. Once more, it doesn't work out for Graham Carroll. When it comes to a tense race, he loses those important couple of positions to Henry Moore, and unfortunately, that is going to be 15 points lost in the championship.
Yeah, indeed. A little bit of wiggling there from Olivia Hayward across the line. I think it was because it was a good battle with Will Champ rather than anything major happening there. The reverse grid number as the spinning wheel comes out will be 11. So Elias Riker will be starting this one from the reverse grid pole. And that means that Henry Moore will be dropping back all the way to 11th position. Can he win from there? You just never really know, especially around here. 10 laps complete, 10 laps into the books, and another victory. A 3rd one of the season for Henry Moore. Pablo Espes in 2nd, and Joseph Loke onto the podium for the 2nd consecutive round. Graham Carroll then into 4th. Did manage to get past Moreno Sarica to not lose out too many points to Henry Moore, but still that'll be a bit of a tough one for him to swallow. Moreno Sarica then in 5th position. Gogo Bowley, some solid points for the Scuderia Ferrari team on the team side of things, with Alexander Spetz up there inside the top 10. Remy Gilbert, Matthias van Urban and Connor Muir round out the top 10 finishers. Of course, then, with Elias Riker, who'll be starting the next race from the reverse grid pole. Joel Hull up to 12th position, so solid results, and decently picked his way through. Same with the likes of Yannick Cattler, who's involved a little bit in that instant out on the start-finish straight. Will Chadwick was very much involved in that instant on the start-finish straight and still managed to come through to 14th position. Olivia Hayward and Leo Brown late in the race, dropping down the order for Guild after that spin at Luffield. Sergio Fitzpatrick in 17th position with Simon Kulik, Peter Statacek, which is a big shame because the Alpine team were actually running higher up in the race late on in that one. Retirements or Giuseppe Lafaro finishing a lap down. Retirements from Kieran Prendergast, from Isaac Price, from Will Murdoch, from Samuel Villa, and from Matt Caruana. That is the big talking point from all of that. Let's talk us through then the drivers that finished their way on the podium, and we'll begin our way once again with our championship leader, with our race winner. It's Henry Moore again. Well, you can't stop. We said this is going to open up the floodgates for the victories. Third one of the season. And again, that was an absolutely fantastic victory. A really tough one to win round here. Obviously, one round here in the Formula Fords as well. Superb drive. What do you make of that?
Yeah, really, really fun, that, to be fair. The tow's obviously so strong, so constant battling, constant action. But yeah, really fun.
I mean, again, brilliant driving, brilliant racing. You saw, obviously, there was a bit of an issue. Graham Carroll dropped back down the order. Are you kind of paying attention to that? Obviously, he is your main championship rival.
Obviously, I've got it in the back of my mind, but to be honest, I was just trying to win that race, pick up maximum points, and yeah, move on. What's
the lowest position you think you can win from?
I have no idea. Honestly, the tow's so strong, but constant action. What's the reverse grid? It's
11th. It is 11th. It's the reverse grid. So it could be worse, could be better. That's not too bad. How are you feeling about
that? Yeah, last week, 14th to 5th in the wet. So 11th in the dry, Silverstone, tow. Yeah, seems all right.
This was obviously the race victory. The next one is the race that you had where you won in the Formula Fords, and then you started a 6-race victory streak. I think a victory streak like that is probably a little bit harder in the British F4 Esports Championship, considering you've only had back-to-back victories, right?
Yeah, much more difficult. Obviously, the level of drivers here is really high, and to be honest, I'm really happy with how it's gone so far. So yeah, really happy.
Well, best of luck in the next race, Henry, and again, another fantastic win.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
There we go, Henry Moore, championship leader and a race victor. Let's talk to someone for the first time this season. They were bored of Henry Moore. We'll kick him out and we'll chuck in Pablo Espes for the first time this season onto the podium. I mean, that was an incredible race. You went for the victory a little bit there on Henry Moore, but it looked like a tough one. Henry Moore's a fast pedaler. Did you think you could win that on the last lap?
Yeah, I tried it, but I didn't want to kill myself and also Henry, so I did the try, but it doesn't work.
In what's been a difficult season for Williams, points this season, finally having a round where you're all going quite strong, that's really solid for the team mentality, right?
Yeah, we are quite happy. We had very bad luck during the other rounds of the championship, so finally we have a bit of luck, and let's see race 2.
What was going through your mind when you saw the battling between Joseph Loke and Graham Carroll behind you, when you saw that gap growing? Were you thinking of the victory, or were you purely thinking, let's get this podium?
I was only thinking, Henry, please push so hard, and later we fight in the last lap, and we fight for the win in the last lap.
Well, the next race you'll be starting from 10th position. Obviously, you started from 5th in this one, so another top 10, another point score, maybe another podium on the cards for you?
Let's see. We need a bit of luck because starting in 10th position will be so hard. But let's try it.
Well, good luck in the next one, Pablo, and superb to hear from you for the first time this season.
Thank you.
There we go. Pablo Espes onto the podium. We'll bring in now Joseph Loke, who is onto the podium for back-to-back rounds. That looked like a very intense race. Lots of battling, lots of two wide, including that fight between yourself and Graham Carroll. Heart rate surely a bit raised in that one.
Yeah, I'm quite annoyed with myself for that one, to be honest. Obviously, the mistake that I made early on in the last corner, just let that whole pack join the battle, which was what we were trying to basically not let happen. So frustrating, but yeah, it was still a fun race, and I think P3 was the best I could have hoped for after the mistake from early on.
I mean, it is a tough one to race around Silverstone in this kind of pack racing style of it, because you can't ever really afford to lose too much time. Even though you're always in that battle for victory, you can't ever afford to lose too much time, right? Because you bring too many people into it, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. And that was what made it, however many cars it was in that train, instead of just the 3 of us at the front. And especially around Silverstone, the tow is just so important. So, yeah, just the mistake was what made a guaranteed P3 a much harder P3.
I mean, look, you still came through in third, and obviously had that great battle with Graham Carroll. This is a circuit you got pretty fond memories of, including driving an F1 car around. What's it like, throwing that car around and then comparing it to driving a little Formula 4 back here on the sim?
It's obviously a lot slower. It's not really much to compare between the two. There's so much difference. So, but yeah, the F4 car's a good laugh around here, and putting it on the limit is definitely difficult, especially in quali when we have less laps than normal. So yeah, it's good fun and good to be racing these guys.
Joe, we'll see if we can see you on the podium next race. You'll be starting from 9th. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Joseph Floke onto the podium for the second time this season. Cam, excellent race that one. Really, really entertaining once again. And like you say, just a brilliant one from start to finish.
Yeah, it's incredible racing here at Silverstone. It was entertaining last year, and it's not failing to disappoint us this time either. So really, really good. And I love the fact that it's 11 because it's not the most that we can have, but it's still a lot for the reverse grid. So that's going to be very tough for the likes of Henry Moore to come through. But for those a little bit higher, maybe someone like Gogo Baldi, someone like Sarika, who are in the middle of that, maybe they could sneak back up onto the podium. And it's really important at this point in the championship where we've seen these drivers not involved in the championship contention getting involved with the likes of Graham Carroll and just opening up that gap. So, that's going to change things around quite a lot. And also regarding the championship, from Matt Caruana down towards the back end of the top 10, it was actually very close. There was just about sort of 10-15 points in between all those drivers. So that's going to be big changes at the end of this one.
Yeah, indeed. Now, let's talk Teams Championship, because, of course, the Scuderia Ferrari Esports team scored very, very nicely there, and especially comparing that to Guild Esports, who didn't have a particularly good round. I did promise all of you at home that we were going to catch up with Seb Hawkins. I did before the season. He is, of course, the team manager of the Guild Esports team. I don't know if he could have expected to have gone this well for Henry Moore. Let's hear what he had to say before the season began.
I'm Seb Hawkins, I'm team manager of Guild Esports, here competing in British F4 this season, and yeah, I've been at Guild for just over a year and a half now. I think you've got a few things. Operationally, making sure the team is coherent with each other, working dynamically and making sure that they're testing and preparing for a competition like this. But I think also making sure to keep the discipline and professionalism of ultimately a very young roster, to make sure that they're developing the skills that they need to go on to do motorsport or further sim racing. Part of my job is making sure that they can relate to me, they can relate to what my position is, but ultimately I can understand them as a driver. And I think you're always, as a team manager, going to have to deliver things that aren't particularly in the favour of the driver, and likewise the driver is going to say things to you that aren't particularly in your favour, but you work through that. But having that understanding of sim racing helps, because you understand what they're on about. My 2 seconds off the pace is absolutely fine, but it means that I understand what it's like when they go into a qualifying lap. I understand those pressures. I understand how to work with that driver when you're silly things like you're sat in Discord doing radio communications. When do you talk to the driver? How do you talk to the driver? And how do you ensure that they're always just as motivated and happy and in the right headspace, when they're driving? So for me, I think it's given me the opportunity to kind of communicate easy with these drivers. I think if you're stepped away from it completely, it's hard to understand the context, right, of what that driver's going through, what they're thinking, what they're having to do in that moment. Look, last year's British F4 was a great moment for me. I think in that opening round we had Remy take a race win, which was probably a career highlight. It was a really nice moment to have taken a driver who basically hadn't had the opportunity to show what they were made of on a centre stage and go up against some very good talent in sim racing, and ultimately go out and win. And it was on merit, and it wasn't just a spoof or a random thing that happened. So it was a really great moment, but it gave us an opportunity to kind of get that motivation into the team and understand what that winning feeling's like and how to chase after it. How do we now put that into our preparation? So I think that's we'll target wins again this year, but I think consistency is key in this championship. It's like karting. You make a small mistake and you drop back 10 positions, so it's about making sure that we keep on our A game. I think things like the Esports World Cup create our kind of top of the pyramid of the ecosystem in sim racing, right? Things like that are what are our academy drivers chasing towards. They've supported with the development in that as well, from the testing behind the scenes, and now they're getting an opportunity to go out and have their own competition and do something like this. So while they're still our drivers and they're still, to me, they're professionals at what they do, they're an academy roster ultimately that are developing that skill set. So the F4 platform is fantastic for them. It's the same as real life. It gives them an opportunity to go out there and show them what they're made of.
and they have been running very well this season, have the Guild Esports team. They're second in the Teams Championship. They are leading the Drivers' Championship, but that is the Guild Academy driver there of Henry Moore. Hearing Seb Hawkins there talk about the young driver roster as well they have. I mean, again, I always like hearing the from a team manager point of view, because it's almost like an outsider perspective from a driver's point of view, and you kind of hear the team from a different angle, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a different vibe from an interview from the driver. But that was really actually interesting. I did enjoy that interview, listening to what Seb had to say. He's definitely got the right mindset to be the team manager. He seems to be figuring it out there with Guild, and they're coming in very strong in this championship. So it's clearly working. Hopefully they can, work the team championship a little bit more in their favour, because unfortunately, especially after that last race, they're losing out to Ferrari by a decent amount.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame on that one, but like I say, they're still running strong, and they'll still be keeping their heads high. And I think that's actually one of the important bits. I said there that in the interview, you kind of heard, that Seb Hawkins is a driver, right? He's a driver that has driven at some pretty high level, and he's been a team manager for a long time. And I've kind of spoken before about this in esports in terms of this, having a manager who's also been a driver, who's also understands the landscape. When things go wrong, especially, having someone in your corner to be like, look, this is how it is, this is how I've done it before, blah, 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 whatever, to kind of have that second voice of someone who actually has been there is helpful.
Oh, definitely is. I mean, you see it, I guess, in other sports as well in the real world, where ex-players end up being the manager. And I think, as you're saying, just that understanding of what the driver's going through in every situation helps a lot. It doesn't necessarily justify some bad decision making sometimes, but at least you understand it and you can work through with them. If you don't know what's going on, it's very difficult to obviously make the improvements there. So I think that's a huge factor, and especially in the sim racing, it's so easy for people to come in, get involved just as a driver. It doesn't matter if you're off the pace of what these guys are doing today, you can still at least have the understanding of what it's like to be in a race situation.
Cam Roger talking about football and bad decision making. You can tell he's a Manchester United fan, can't you?
Oh my God. How did you swing it into that?
Oh, just honestly, just desperate for anything to talk about Ten Hag, just to throw you lot under the bus. I think it's hilarious. It's all right. Your bad times are potentially behind you now, and the good times are ahead. The good times, of course, being the 10th race of the British F4 Esports Championship. Meaning we're heading into it. 20 minutes will be put onto the clock, and we'll talk you very quickly through the 24-car grid, which of course has been reversed. Number 11 was the reverse grid number, meaning Elias Riker will be starting from pole position. Conor Muir will be starting from second position alongside on the front row with Matthias van Erven, Remy Gilbert, Alexander Spetz and Gergo Bowdy for the Scuderia Ferrari championship leading team car. Then Moreno Sharika and Graham Carroll disappointed after that one. Joseph Loke, Pablo Espes and Henry Moore onto the podium in the previous race, with Joel Hull starting alongside the title leader. Johnny Catalan will start from 13th position with Will Chadwick after the start of the previous race. Olivia Hayward, then Leo Brown, Sergio Fitzpatrick and Simon Kulik in 18th position. The final 6 drivers seeing Peter Stachulek, then Giuseppe Lafaro, Kieran Prendergast, Isaac Price, Will Murdoch and Samuel Villa. One final position, Matt Caruana from the back of the grid. Cam, very, very quickly, how far up can Matt Caruana go from there?
I think 15th.
15th, only 15th. My goodness, you've got no faith in the man. 20 minutes put onto the clock, 10th round of the season, ready to go. Elias Riker starting this one from pole position, and we are underway once again here at Silverstone. Conor Muir starting from the front row, already with a pretty poor start, and Matthias van Erven will drag himself alongside in the battle for second. Already a couple of fights on the start-finish straight as they work their way down into the first corner, side by side for second spot, as Matthias van Erven for the Williams Esports Academy team trying to work his way past the Aston Martin of Conor Muir. Bit of a lock up there on the front right. Might be contact here as Remy Gilbert might fire his way into the scenes. He's already won a couple of races in his British F4 Esports career. Could be looking at another.
And it was Joseph Loke sending it 3 wide down the inside of turn 3. I think it was Greg Carroll on his inside, Sarika on the outside. Very, very aggressive from the Aston Martin driver as we're seeing up towards the front. A huge breakaway from Riker. Round the outside is going to be from Conor Muir. Can he make it 2 places or even just 1 in towards Luffield? It's very tight as they work their way through with Remy Gilbert in towards Luffield. And as you come out, they're still side by side.
Yeah, you've got that side by side in the background as well. Like you said, Joseph Loke trying to to desperately work his way up the order. We're looking at the battle, though, between Remy Gilbert and between Connor Muir. The outside line being taken by the Guild Esports driver as he's trying to fire it around the outside of the Aston Martin. He's going to run right out wide here. There's no way he's keeping that one on track limits with Remy Gilbert. And now Gogo Bowdy might fire his way through. Looking now on board with Henry Moore just outside of the top 10, seeing his champion rival Graham Carroll working his way past Pablo Espes, or rather holding off Pablo Espes as Joseph Loke already marched his way through, then up into 8th position.
And this is a difficult race with how close the battling has been today for these guys to get up, but you never know what is going to happen. Van Erven has actually pulled away a little bit because in the background, the battle between Muir and Gilbert is still going on side by side. The outside it is for the Aston Martin driver of Connor Muir. Can he get himself onto the podium? It's going to be a tough battle with Gilbert as he comes down in towards the final chicane, and it's going to be latest on the brakes from one of the drivers. Who's it going to be? Connor Muir holds on to that, although it goes a bit deep. Actually, as in the background, huge contact is made between the pair of them. Spets surely is going to get through here, but no, they're still going on.
Yeah, Spets didn't. Neither did, of course, Gergo Bowdy behind. And now Joseph Loke's driving onto the grass to try and make it 3 wide down the start-finish straight. He's onto the curb as well as he throws it into turn 1. This is surely going to end in tears. It is for the Ferraris as they're all over the place. Pablo Espes had to cut across the left-hand side as well as we ride back on board with Gergo Bowdy. A bit of a shake of the head. Coming through the inside goes Henry Moore. And there, straight onto the scene, it's absolute chaos as Gergo Bowdy going slightly slower. It was 3 wide. He was being absolutely pile-drived by basically everyone on the grid, and he is dropping right the way back down. He's definitely got some damage on that car.
Yeah, that was the 77 of Henry Moore who had the big contact there. And of course, you had the couple of Freedom UK cars getting through. Absolute scenes as it's getting very elbows out here in the Formula 4 Esports Championship. Out wide goes another driver. That is Henry Moore who's losing out. It's now Joe Hull trying to get around his outside. This is where Henry Moore could lose big points in the championship. He's got to be careful, and Bowdy's day is done.
Yeah, front left's given way now, so the suspension was damaged and now it has given way. I don't think it was Henry Moore, by the way, who made contact in that. I think his car was all right, at least from what I've seen. He is going side by side, though, at the moment with Will Chadwick, who's gone wide a little bit down at Cops. That was absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. I love it.
And we're still 2 by 2 towards Magnus and Beckett's. So this is Graham Carroll leading the bit of a charge here. In the background, you've got Moore.
Whoa!
And then, huge contact. Hull goes wide. The 11 of Espes as well. He gets involved. He's rejoined the track. Is Hull going to reappear somewhere in the background too?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see that one from up above, but I think Hull might have turned in a little bit too early, making contact with the Williams Esports Academy driver. He is fairly inexperienced on this one. As to the outside goes Will Chadwick. Has crossed the line as a winner a couple of times. One of those definitely did not count, as he now going to make a move on Graham Carroll, who you can see there has damage on the front wing. If there is a circuit this season you don't want damage on the front wing, it's here. And Will Chadwick's going to go straight over as there's definite contact between the champion protagonists. I think Graham Carroll might have gone round, or is he still going? He is gone round.
Oh, what a big race, a big round for the championship this is going to be. So Carroll has gone round, and we do see Henry Moore, of course, dropping down a bit as well. This is absolute carnage. This gives a good opportunity for others to steal some good points, but how things can change so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it's big for the championship, but I think it's big in a lot of ways. This is what happened to Gergo Bowdy, who's right in the middle of all of this. That's where he got the contact, so that's where Graham Carroll got the damage for the front wing. Here comes the big centre, the inside. I believe that might be Will Chadwick, might have been Joel Hull in the middle of all this, and I believe it was Leo Brown who was the driver who went up into the air there, not Henry Moore. So Henry Moore was safe in all this, and basically it just kept getting worse and worse. This is the battle through the final chicane, so we'll need to see from up above what happened, and that was the 2 championship rivals on top of each other, basically what we saw in 2021 between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, although just slightly more messy between Graham Carroll there and Henry Moore. Moore still in the race. I mean, I don't know how that one unfolded, really. That's a really tough one.
I would not want to be a steward for the racing that we see this evening. There's been a few questionable moves and a few tricky ones to work out as we see this from one of the Mensa cars. That is Caruana, of course, from the back of the grid. Is he going to slide through? No, he was the one that got involved. It's his teammate. I saw one of the other cars. It was his teammate, unfortunately. So Caruana, what a terrible race evening. It's going to be big points lost.
Yeah, indeed. And both Ferraris are out of the race. So for the Remy Gilbert, for Leo Brown, I was talking about this in the team's championship. This is on board with Graham Carroll. I mean, he's giving room to Will Chadwick, and Will Chadwick's kind of coming across, although I don't blame Will Chadwick. I think that might be that the glue that we've talked about. As soon as you get too close to a car, you kind of like get glued together. I think it might be that.
Maybe it will go down to racing incident, but if so, either way, it's a big change in the championship. So we go back to live pictures. The top two of Riker and Van Erven, who thought they would be winning a race this season, and they are at the front. Spets Gilbert inside your top four. Again, some names maybe who haven't been on the pace so far this season, but Joseph Loke has the opportunity to get a double podium here ahead of his teammate Conor Muir.
You say it's a big change in the championship. I don't think it is. And the reason why is because Henry Moore and Graham Carroll are both out of the race.
And Caruana, who was third.
Right, so there will be no changes in the championship. It's all actually pretty settled, as we'll see these side by side between Remy Gilbert come through the likes onto the Wellington Straight, of course, battling with Alexander Spets, battling with Joseph Loke, who's trying to fire it down 3 wide as they head their way into Brooklands past the BRDC clubhouse. On board with Conor Muir, who's going to drop back behind all this thinking, I don't actually want to be a part of any of this. My goodness, absolute chaos. Joseph Loke is up then onto the podium. Can he close 3.3 seconds down to Elias Riker and Matthias Van Erven? Are we going to see the battle between those two as well? I mean, they're going to be going for the race victory. Williams are looking fantastic this round, generally.
Yeah, this is a big turnaround. Congratulations to them. Getting on the pace, not just with one of their cars either. It's not a standout performance. It is all of their cars who are right up towards the front. Of course, unfortunately, Espes was involved in that that incident. He's down in 11th place, but a lot more of their cars up towards the front. 3 of them, in fact, inside the top 6, and this is working out very nicely indeed. So Loke already back up onto the podium, and 6 places gained. I think the time gap is a bit too much if the top 2 don't battle, though.
Never count out Joseph Loke on that. I mean, he'll be throwing this round as hard as he can, but like I say, he's got to be close like half a second to a second a lap basically to really have anything about it, and he needs to know battling from behind, and Remy Gilbert needs to kind of eye onto that. Maybe a little bit of bump draft in between them will help them catch up to Matthias Van Erven and Elias Riker. I mean, the top 2, they're not teammates. One's BS Competition, one of them's Williams Esports Academy. And yeah, Matthias Van Erven has plenty of experience in open wheelers, more so over on the F1 side of things, over towards F1 Esports and stuff. Has taken part in F1 sim racing a little bit as well. Quality driver over in that neck of the woods. Great to see him here. Great to see him battling for a race victory. Speaking of his teammate, though, Pablo Espes was trying to get his way past Simon Kulik going down in the first corner. In fact, it's Kulik making a move to the inside on Villa.
And Espes is not out of this one, actually, as he comes down in towards turn 3. He's got to look out because Isaac Price, the car, huge send as he goes down the inside. Price is watching this. Massive braking late in towards turn 3 as well. Oh, no, is that maybe contact is made? Yes, it is. And Kulik is going to go around. Absolute terrible disaster there. The car's upside down. I think is that Espes or is that Price? That's Price is upside down.
In the science of how, what happened there? How was there a car upside down? That is definitely some of that awkward, like the wheel-to-wheel contact that's just flipped a car. Very awkward indeed. Like I say, driving standards not so ideal this evening.
No, I mean, the track doesn't help, but
don't blame a track. That's the worst driver excuse.
So I'm not blaming the track. I'm just saying it makes it a little bit harder. But you have to take it into consideration. So there's contact made, and then Isaac Price gets launched up on the front nose, ends up upside down. And unfortunately for G2, this has been a terrible race as well for them. Yeah, it's not for a team that's actually had quite a few good rounds. They're not having a good one here, that's for sure. Nora Ferrari, who is scoring nil points. As far as I'm aware in this, Gergo Baldi, I think, might be circulating, although he might actually be out of the race as well. No, he is also, he's still in the pit lane, so he's basically done. Obviously, Henry Moore's done, Graham Carroll's done, Matt Caruana's done. This is a big thing for Guild. Like I say, they are running in solid spots. Remy Gilbert there in 4th position, Leo Brown in 8th. They could basically do with all of the points they possibly can, knowing that there is no points presently being scored for Ferrari. Yeah, this is crazy for the championship. I mean, top 4 are out. Price is 6th in championship. He's out. I mean, wow, what an event that we've had. Crazy. We still got half of this final race to go. The top 2 have still remained with their gap at the front, though. So these 4 in behind aren't really catching enough. Maybe a couple of tenths they gained, but that was it. So I don't think it's going to be enough for them to be caught by the end of this race. So it's really now a 5-way scrap for the final podium place.
couple of weeks of no racing as well. We're not racing next week on the Wednesday, so it's a bit of a break before we go into the 3 final rounds. Pablo Espes and Joel Hull battle for 14th position. So Hull's still in the race. I thought he hit the wall hard enough that he was gone from all of this. I think he does have quite a lot of damage on that FIA UK car, but still is desperate to keep going in his first season, getting passed by the driver who just finished on the podium there.
Absolutely. It's crazy how that swaps around so quickly. A big send down the inside there from the 31 machine. Can he make it work? Espes has left him space, to be fair, with a bit of a lock-up, but he's kept his car up the inside of Luffield. That was a tough defensive line there, but Pablo kept it, although this is down for P14, not for P2 like it was previously. Yeah,
and also, I didn't quite count on this. That is also for the final running positions. Everyone behind them is out of this race, meaning we have 9 retirements. Sorry, 10. It is 10 retirements because there's 25 drivers in this, not 24. It's 10 retirements from the second race here.
Unbelievable, unbelievable stuff as Loke and Gilbert go at it, of course, up towards the front of this train for the final podium place. Big send, though, for Sarika, trying to make Williams have their opportunity for a podium today. And let's see how this one works. Yes, Spets, you're right, as it's actually Sarika who's trying to get his teammate now down in towards the front chicane.
There is Alexander Spets leaving the door open. Big slide for Spets as he tries to fend off Moreno Sarika. They're going side by side between the two Williams. Definitely no team orders between that. I know there's been a couple of changes behind the scenes, but whoever's running it thinks as team manager. I know Michael Press has been kind of doing a lot of engineering elsewhere in sim race. I'm sure he's kind of got a bit of an eye on this. I mean, that was a little bit messy between the two teammates, and they've cost themselves a fair amount of time.
Yeah, they don't want to cost themselves a podium opportunity. We know how you could easily overtake a couple of cars. They don't want to lose that slipstream to 2 of the fastest drivers in the championship of Loke and Gilbert, because I was actually forgetting Gilbert is still 5th in the championship after how it's been in the opening half of the season. So still definitely up there for now. And let's see how it works out for them. But yeah, Williams don't want to relinquish this opportunity.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just looking at the list of retirements again. That is an absolute list. Peter Stacek, you've got Will Murdoch in there, Henry Moore, Will Chadwick, Gogo Baldi, Matt Caruana, Yoni Kattler and Graham Carroll. All retirements from this race. It does mean, by the way, that Shami Kulik and Isaac Price are still both going, actually. So Price is still in the race, but is miles down the order. 17th position, will not be able to gain anything more than that. 6 minutes left to go in the race. It'll be 3 laps once they get to the line. Here's a look at Serge Fitzpatrick, who is currently running in 12th position on the rear end of Giuseppe Lafaro. Could be looking at a solid result here, to be fair.
Absolutely, and they've got Prendergast not too far up ahead, does this duo. So definitely some further opportunities. You can see how tough it is to follow through those very fast corners in the middle part of the lap. But of course, it opens up to one of the best overtaking opportunities. Not quite close enough, maybe, though talking about overtakes. Villa and Brown are going at it for P8. It looks like Villa's having a good drive there, up inside the top 10 after starting way down in race 1.
Yeah, so Villa then up into the 8th position, as you say. 9th now for Leo Brown. It's just those two fighting for 8th position. Leo Brown can't really gain anything more, nor can Villa, with their big 5 seconds up to this battle here. The 5-car fight for 3rd position. Joseph Loke, Remy Gilbert, Moreno Sarika, Alexander Spets and Connor Muir. All of these battling for the final step on the podium. 2 Aston Martins, 2 Williams, and of course the Guild car that we're on board with. Pablo Espes then into the pit lane. So I think there might have been a further issue for the car.
This reverse grid has really been terrible for those finishing up the front in race 1, apart from Joseph Loke, of course, who's still remaining there very nicely indeed. Gilbert not going for the overtake, so he knows what he's doing and trying to wait. And actually, I tell you what, Van Erven is dropping back from Riker. So it's only 1.5 seconds now between Van Erven and Loke. There's half a chance that in the next 3 laps to the end of the race, they might be able to sneak the slipstream and for a last lap overtake.
I mean, you never really know. You never really know what happens on the last couple of laps here. Here's Matthias Van Erven. So the gap's 1 second for the race lead. I think just a couple of struggles. We heard from Graham Carroll a couple of times this season about tyres. I don't think it's necessarily a big thing here, but there is still it's coarse surface, pretty coarse on the surface here. It's been pretty hot as well, and there's a lot of turns, so I'd suspect it's pretty high on the tyre wear comparatively to some of the circuits we've been to this season. So there's a lot of straights to cool them down, so you never really know.
Yeah, you never do, and it's a tough car, especially with the tyres. I mean, we're hearing it from Graham Carroll, but even what you see in qualifying, which is how it works, very tough car indeed to get fast. And these 4 that are chasing down Van Erven, they've stayed pretty stable and calm over the last lap or two. Or I say that, actually, is there going to be a bit of a move here from Alexander Spets? No, there's not, because they know that there might be an opportunity to sniff out that Williams car, and I love it. We're coming up to a couple of laps remaining, so just about 12 kilometers left in the race, and it is still uncertain who's going to get that second place.
Yeah, Matthias Van Erven's tyres, I think they are toast. He's now dropped half a second over the last lap or so to Elias Riker, driving right back into the clutches of this group as Simon Kulik will move his way up into 15th position, courtesy of Pablo Espes still remaining in the pit lane. So it's not going well for all of the Williams team, just for most of them. With the Williams Esports Academy driver Van Erven up there with Moreno Sarica and with Alexander Spets. I don't know who's finishing on the podium. I will say now, though, I don't believe it'll be Matthias Van Erven. I think 2 drivers from this group will be on the podium. I'm going to make a guess now. It'll be Joseph Logue. I think it'll be Moreno Sarica. I'm not sure if Remy Gilbert's going to finish on the podium here.
I mean, now that you've mentioned that, that's a good point. I mean, I would actually count it all, what's that, 5 of these drivers getting through him, to be honest. Look how slow he is. I mean, I said it was a second and a half. It's now half a second, so a whole second he has lost in just a lap and a bit since we mentioned that. And this is really, starting to come back to bite Van Erven. And already at the end of this lap, he's going to be losing places.
Yeah, runs wide again at turn 1. There's so much understeer in that car at the moment. It is very boaty. And do remember, by the way, it's not a setup thing. Every driver in the British F4 Esports Championship this year has the same setup. There's a fixed setup championship now. So there's not. It's just how you drive. It's just how you are behind the wheel. I think Van Erven has used a little bit too much of his front tyres throughout the start of this race, and is now becoming a bit of a boat. Here we go then. Here comes the freight train as Joseph Logue will get to the inside. He'll drag through Remy Gilbert as well as they head their way up towards Stowe for the penultimate time, and that move might just be complete. Matthias Van Erven cuts over the nose though of Remy Gilbert and says, "Not you, son, just Logue for now, and I'll see if I can work my way straight back through."
And wait for the big dive down the inside from Gilbert. There's not enough room there, though. There's not enough room. Contact is made. We're going to see Spets and maybe even Sarica come through, as actually they swapped around. Sarica's gone through Spets side by side in the final corner, and that has not worked out for Gilbert. He almost snuck through at Stowe with Logue, but instead he's going to be losing potentially 2 places here. How much does he want to risk? All of it around the outside.
Smart move there from Moreno Sarica to give the slipstream over to Alexander Spets on the start-finish straight, though, just to try and assist his teammate on the march through. And it will be Remy Gilbert down towards 6th position. Conor Muir into the scene as well, going for the up and under here potentially on Remy Gilbert. Can't quite make that one stick for the Aston Martin team. So Joseph Logue will lead Matthias Van Erven in the battle for 2nd position, and Moreno Sarica in 4th. We're on the final lap of proceedings here. 1.9 seconds down the road is BS Competition's Elias Riker. What's been a pretty tricky season for them. It's looking like things are going to end in victory here in race 10.
Yeah, it's been a perfectly quiet race for the 89 machine. He already had a gap at the end of the first lap. Of course, Van Erven caught that up, got in his slipstream. Then it was the pair of them, but now it's gone back down to just him. So a nice, easy race. Hopefully, lights to flag with just half a lap remaining. And 2nd place is Joseph Logue. It looks like they're not going to be able to catch down for the race win, but who is going to get the final place on the podium? At the moment, it's Van Erven, but his sister teammate Sarica is right up behind. They've got Spets following as well, so surely it's going to be one of the Williams cars, but which one will it be?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I get the feeling that unless there's team orders between these groups where they're like, no, Sarica, you're not going past on Van Erven, I get the feeling that this should be a pretty easy move. Out wide goes Matthias Van Erven. Moreno Sarica will pick up the slipstream here. We head out onto the hangar straight. Van Erven's looking for the slipstream coming in from Joseph Logue. As now there's a bit of a squeeze between these sister cars as Moreno Sarica will work his way to the inside into Stowe. Moreno Sarica will work his way through then onto the podium. You can see the damage. Oh, there's contact between the two, and Matthias Van Erven's been sent into the gravel. Contact between the pair of them. Alexander Spets will work his way through in the 3rd position, as with Remy Gilbert. Ahead of all of this, though, through the final corner, and what's been a dramatic final few corners. Riker will have no idea about that. Welcome to the winner's circle. Elias Riker takes victory for BS Competition, and you can see he's elated about it. Joseph Logue in 2nd spot, and across the line into 3rd place, it will indeed be Alexander Spets. I can't believe what I saw there. Contact between the teammates, absolutely wild. And Matthias van Erven is absolutely fuming. He just binned it into the barrier on the start-finish straight. What a crazy final lap. Talk me through it.
Oh my word, what a tough fight between the sister teammates. Sarika on the inside, Van Erven basically pushed him to the grass. Around the outside they go. I mean, Sarika's on the inside curb there. And I mean, it's hard to see from that angle. I don't think it was going too far wide. And that's why also I said any of these Williams drivers could, because something like that can happen. And Spets goes through so late on the brakes. More contact, very lucky not to have an incident like we saw with Carroll and more. And then was Conor Muir able to get, he's just boxed in a little bit into the line. Maybe just was able to nose him out. Yes, Sarika did get, Muir did get Sarika to the line by 0.003 of a second. But I mean, let's see this one again. Did Sarika come wide, or was this Van Erven pinching him down to the apex?
I mean, I think it's a bit of a pinch from Van Erven. I think you're absolutely right. You saw it from up above. Like Sarika is far over to the right-hand side. Van Erven is kind of sticking around the outside. There's a bit of glue between them, fair enough. But I'm saying, if you're Matthias van Erven, you're in a solid spot. I understand it's frustrating, but you're in a solid spot. Accept it. Yeah, your big teammates work your way through. The last thing you want is contact between the two teammates. It's exactly what you got, and now you're all losing. That doesn't look good on anyone. And indeed, Moreno Sarika dropping back there a fair few positions once more from up above, and you'll see this, the tight line being held from the car on the inside. That's Moreno Sarika. Just silly between the sister teammates in a sense. It's a bit too hard fighting in my liking for Matthias van Erven. Either way, we'll take a look at the provisional results. Elias Riker on top by 1.7 seconds over Joseph Loke, taking victory. Joseph Loke for the Aston Martin team onto the podium for the second consecutive race. Alexander Spets onto the podium once more as well, so great to see. Remy Gilbert then in fourth position. Conor Muir in fifth position with Moreno Sarika. Samuel Villa in seventh position. Leo Brown in eighth. Shout out to Kieran Prendergast, by the way, inside the top 10. Kept his nose clean through all that and was actually battling with Matthias van Erven there up towards the line, beating him by just under 200ths of a second. Giuseppe Lafaro leads Sir Fitzpatrick and Olivia Hayward. And then Joel Hull into 14th position, which is just crazy considering the list of retirements we're about to go through. Kulik, Price, both finishing a lap down. Pablo Espes into the pit lane. Henry Moore into the pit lane. Sachet into the pit lane. Will Murdoch into the pit lane, out of the race for those four. And again, the list of retirements has 5 more to add to it. William Chadwick, then Goga Baldi, Matt Caruana, Yoni Cattler, and Graham Carroll. There is a lot of cars that need a lot of repairing over the virtual repairing anyway, over the next couple of weeks before we go racing once again. Let's jump straight through, though, into the interviews. Elias Riker into the commentary booth after a brilliant victory. Lights to flag, absolutely dominant. He looked like he didn't even react across the line. That was, relieving, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been a really tough season for me. It's good to get a decent result for finally.
I mean, what was it like crossing the line as a victor in the British F4 Esports? We know it's such a strong competitive championship, but to have taken a victory, to have done it in that way as well, I mean, that's got to feel great.
Yeah, of course, it's great. I was worrying when we were running with Matthias until lap 5, lap 6, and then he just dropped off, and then I didn't look back at all, so it was good.
I mean, BS competition, obviously, are you more focused on the team side or the driver side? There's been a couple of ups for you this season. There's been quite a lot of downs for the team this season, but this is certainly a big high. You focused more on the team side, though?
Yeah, we're just focusing on the team championship. Of course, the drive is also good, but it's team sports, basically, so...
Well, Elias, thank you so much. What an excellent victory. Lights to flag, absolutely dominant, perfect drive. Well done.
Thank you.
Elias Riker then, of course, on top here in the British F4 Esports Championship. Now we'll drag in Joseph Loke for the second time this evening. Surely you're getting bored of me. But no, fantastic drive up to second. What a dramatic race, though. That was absolutely crazy. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, you summed it up quite well. Pretty chaotic. I was kind of just committing from lap 1 and hoping it worked. Yeah, I've been a little bit too cautious, I think, in a lot of these races, so I thought I'd just go all in for that one and see what happened, and yeah, they worked quite well. But yeah, chaos is the best word you could use for that.
Yeah, there was big drama for pretty much all the big names on the grid. You know, so it said like obviously Will Charwick, Gergo Bowdy, Graham Carroll, Henry Moore. I mean, the list of times Matt Caruana also in there. I mean, when you've seen all these drivers basically having their moments, and then you're working your way through, was there ever a thought in that, especially even late on, despite that large gap, that there might have been a chance of you taking victory?
Once I got past Remy and was in front of the train, I wanted to, and I was hoping that I could. But yeah, I just didn't quite have enough pace. Elias did a good job, so yeah, I was trying very hard, but no, it wasn't quite possible.
Now, you're kind of a reserve driver for the season. Will we be seeing you in any of the final 3 rounds of the championship?
I don't know. Probably, yeah. Yeah, most likely. I think. I don't know for sure, but yeah, I think so.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thank you so much, and again, excellent stuff.
Thank you very much.
And there we go. Joseph Loke successfully interviewed for the second time this evening. On to Alexander Spets, who rejoins us here in the British F4 Esports Championship. Of course, you had the first ever pole position. You had a podium also in that race as well. And we've not really seen you around too much since. Now onto the podium once more. I mean, that's been an absolutely crazy race. Obviously, there was contact there on the last lap. Did you work your way through on the podium? What were your thoughts after that one?
Well, I had no idea I was going to make the top 3 there. I was quite happy with how the pace was for both races, so I just tried to survive. And yeah, it worked well in the end. I settled in for P6 or P5, but then the guys had a contact ahead, so we took advantage of that and got our first podium of the season.
What was it like, having a difficult season for the Williams team in general up until this point, to have Pablo Esparza get a podium in the previous race, but all of you basically being up there in the top 10? It seems as though the pace has been turned around for the team, that you've really found and something's clicked here for you. Is that what the feeling is for the team?
To be honest, I think we're just quite lucky for this one. We tried to go a bit more easy. Didn't basically no prep, and then just try to take it safe. Playing it safe is a key point to performing in those races. I think there's so much slipstream here anyway, and because of that there's going to be a lot of contact and stuff in the races, so taking advantage of the moments and like crashes. I mean, we saw a lot of top drivers coming out in this race, just taking advantage of moments like that, and stuff will probably get us better results throughout the season.
Now, you've got a lot of experience in basically the highest I-rated driver on the grid. Obviously, there is that. Next race will be going north of the border. You raced Knockhill much before?
I did it 2 years ago in the British F4 race as well.
Oh, yeah, of course it was there for that round of that season as well. What are your thoughts of Knockhill? What are you expecting? Obviously, that one's surely going to be pretty chaotic.
That's going to be chaotic, yeah. If we think we have seen it all, we have not for that one for sure. I think there's going to be a lot of crashes and a lot of racing for that one. So yeah, once again, just going in with the mindset to survive for that one, and maybe we can get another top 5 results at least for both races.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, Alex. Again, great driving, and great to see you back on the podium as well.
Thank you.
There we go. A 4th podium in British F4 Esports for Alexander Spets there. Cam, what an absolutely crazy round. I mean, we've had some breathless action before in the British F4 Esports Championship. That was a very different style of breathless action.
Yeah, that was quite something. Some great battles where we saw them, but there was just also some terrible scenes and shots. Too many cars involved in some incidents, but everyone is going for it. The races are counting down very quickly, and the opportunities to get these wins are certainly diminishing. But in the end, actually, obviously, Raikko had quite an easy win there. So it's funny how the races go sometimes, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do next time at Knockhill, which is a way much smaller track.
Yes, indeed. Next week, we're going absolutely nowhere. There is no racing next week. We've got a 2-week break until the final swing of races begins. Of course, it'll start in Knockhill before we go to Donington Park, and then back to West Kingsdown in Brands Hatch to round out the season. After what has been a crazy round here at Silverstone, thank you so much for joining us. We hope we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time as we go racing north of the border.